Can Kurt Kikas successfully defend his title in tonight's highly competitive league? Who will take the plunge with Ezekiel Elliott, and is a $250,000 winner about to emerge from this draft? Follow along with the live draft board tonight and listen to our analysis as we call the action from the 2019 Footballguys Players Championship live on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour Draft as these 12 teams gun for a six-figure grand prize. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour starts now.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
With the master rhymer, that's the lead behind the video rapper. You know the top driver, tapper.
Happy Friday, Rob. Thank you, and greetings and salutations to all of you Balkaholics and Gerzak fanatics. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I am, of course, your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is the patron saint of fantasy football, the Dizzle, Dave Gerzak. Tonight, we have another special episode of the HSFF Hour. It's the 2019 Footballguys Players Championship live on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour draft tonight, and we'll be covering it for the next 2 hours. Follow the live draft board at the link we posted in the Blog Talk Radio chat room, along with the FFPC, HSFF Hour, Eric Balkman, Twitter, and Facebook feeds. Shout out to the chat room right now. Feel free to post any questions you might have in there. You can connect with us on Twitter at HSFF Hour, at Eric Balkman, at David Gerzak, Facebook.com/HSFF Hour as well. 347-426-3682 is where you can give us a call. That's 347-GAME-OBA. HighStakesFantasyFootball@gmail.com is the email inbox that our producer and mutual friend Rob and our audio engineer and best friend Bryce are checking. If you have any questions for us or for any of the drafters, now's the time to send them in. We'll try to get to all the chat room questions, tweets, and emails throughout the program tonight. As a reminder, we have a ton of action over at MyFFPC.com, best ball leagues, classic leagues, dynasty leagues, superflex leagues, as well as more Footballguys Players Championship leagues from $35 all the way up to $5,000. The FFPC truly has a league for every budget, and for those of you participating in the 2019 FFPC main event for that $500,000 grand prize, the next early draft slot announcement will take place on August 15th. That is 13 days from now for all teams paid by August 13th, which is 11 days from now. So if you pay off your team in the next 11 days, you will know where you are drafting coming up here shortly in the next 13 days as you plot your way to a $500,000 grand prize. What an exciting time to be alive, Dave. It is our first show in 2019 in the month of August. I don't want to say we're in the home stretch. I feel like it's just begun.
Yeah, Bulky, it's going to be tough for you to bring the energy level that you have.
Woo! Who's excited?
You're a little over the top.
I got my claw around a claw tonight. I'm flying high on the wings of the White Claw.
I can see.
Black cherry is the flavor du jour tonight. And let's get to the draft order du jour. Adam Krautwurst, Team RFFL, leading things off tonight in the first spot. Emerson Ramold, his Enter Sandman entry is selecting second. Former guest of the show, Team 747, owned by Tony Pung, is third, as well as another former guest of the show, Aunt Jemima 16. That is John Terry. Joseph Paprzycki, Building an Empire. That is the fifth team's picking tonight. In the sixth spot is Tony Giustiniani and Donald Rich. Their career killers are selecting sixth. Frank Imbornoni's Dilly Dilly in the seventh spot. VC Staff 3, owned by Vince Staffolino, 8. The Red Hot Wasp, yeah, that's right. It's Hudson Kern-Reeve at 9. The Notorious BIP, so thrilled he's using that team name. It is Biplab Mandel picking 10th. The defending champion of this league, the Altadena assassin himself, it's Kurt Kikas in the 11th spot. And Wild Coyotes, owned by Jimmy Wagner, at the 12th spot. That is the draft order tonight. We are already through round 1. Let's take you through it and let you know what happened. Adam Krautwurst took Saquon Barkley, number 1 overall, no surprise there. Another non-surprise, Emerson Rammel takes Christian McCaffrey, too, followed by Alvin Kamara. At the third spot, that's Tony Pung's selection. And then we see a little bit of a deviation here, and I'll get Dave's input on this in a minute here. But David Johnson goes to John Terry at 4. Ezekiel Elliott to number 5. That's Joseph Paprzycki's team. Lucky Horseshoe selecting at 5 tonight. He takes Elliott at 5. So let's unpack this here a little bit, Dave. Throughout the entire drafting season, we've seen Ezekiel Elliott almost always go in the top 4. Now, he slipped out of the top 4 every now and then, but it's been rare. I can't remember a drafter I've seen David Johnson go ahead of Elliott outside of the pros versus Joes, but Johnson...
Two of the pros versus Joes.
Oh, that's true, yeah, because Johnson went 1 overall to Todd Burrows, and then Fantasy ADHD. Josh Hornsby took him at the 102 in the final draft of the pros versus Joes.
That's right.
So outside of PVJ, I haven't seen it happen. Real money league tonight, $350 entry fee. John Terry's taking him ahead, taking David Johnson ahead of Ezekiel Elliott. What do you make of this? I mean, how much does the potential holdout of Elliott play into his longevity as far as being a top 4 pick going forward?
Yeah, it's all of it. That's the reason. If people don't want to take risks with your top 4 pick, and why would you? And as long as there's not a 0% chance that he misses time, there's a decent reason to let him drop to 5 or even lower.
Right. And so my next question for you is, you would be taking Johnson over Elliott at this point.
Yeah, I would be.
Yeah.
I probably would. It would take me a little bit to take Elliott at this point. I'm getting concerned as more time goes on.
Yeah, I am too, and I would not be able to take him in the top 5. In fact, if I was drafting in an FFPC tight end premium league, I'd probably be taking Travis Kelce ahead of him. I'd probably be taking DeAndre Hopkins ahead of him. I know those two for sure. I haven't thought it out, through enough, but I know enough that I know I'd be taking Johnson, Kelce, and Hopkins all ahead of Elliott right now.
To me, I wouldn't just, I don't know. Again, I go back to what I said before. If I'm not going to take him at 3, if I'm not taking him at 4, why am I taking him at 7 or 8?
Right.
I would just kind of not take him and then just go a different direction as if he had been taken already.
Right.
That's the way I would go.
Okay. Although you could get some value if you had an Elliott. Now, hold on. Hold that thought. We'll get to it in a little bit.
Yeah, the other drop.
Yeah, all right. We'll talk about it a little bit. DeAndre Hopkins to the career killers, picking at 6 tonight. He's the first receiver off the board, followed by Le'Veon Bell to Frank Imbornone's Dilly Dilly. The new New York Jet is the new member of Dilly Dilly as he goes at the 107 tonight.
By the way, I'm going to interject quickly. Footballguys had an email. They were talking about Le'Veon Bell. It was this morning's email. And the commentary was, Bell's not the running back he used to be, but blah, 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 blah. I just found that to be kind of a little bit of an offensive comment. It's because...
Who should be offended by Bell?
Yeah, anybody or whatever. I guess, yeah, Bell should be.
Right.
But who's to say he's not the player he used to be? He was awesome, and then he took a year off because of a contract issue. How the hell do they know if he's the player he used to be? How do they know?
Well, was it football guys saying that, or were they reporters?
It was their comment.
Oh, it was their analysis on that.
So whoever wrote the blurb or whatever
right.
had this opinion that he's not the player he used to be, but blah, 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 and then he qualified, whoever it is, they qualified, but he could be an RB1.
But we don't know. We don't know if he's a player. I mean, he very well could be. He very well might not be.
Exactly.
But we don't know at this point.
Right, and it feels like kind of, bad speculation or bad writing kind of. No, I'm not trying to rip on football guys. I'm just saying, why are you writing that?
Right.
Like, I think you could say he may not be the player he used to be, like you just said.
Right.
Anyway.
But to say one way or the other is a little bit premature. So what about him at the 107 tonight, Dave? Do you believe that he is the player he used to be? Do you believe that he is enough of the player that he used to be to go as the number 6 running back off the board tonight?
Well, I mean, to me, you look at him, he looks like he's in fantastic shape. I can't see why, after taking a year off, he's still kind of in the prime of his career. What is he, 27, 28 now, whatever? So he's not like he's 31. Great shape. If I wasn't going to take him, it'd be because I'd be concerned about the Jets' offense. Maybe I don't believe in Sam Darnold. I don't like the coaching staff, which
right.
is accurate. But that's the reason I wouldn't take Bell. And I think Bell is he might be all right. I don't think they're going to have like a top 10 offense. So then, you have to make sure that he gets enough receptions and so forth. But it sounds like he will. I mean, who else do they have? Ty Montgomery, Elijah McGuire might not even make the team.
Yeah.
Rumors about that.
The other thing to keep in mind too, as far as drafting these running backs in the first round, and I can ask you your philosophy on this, Dave. But if I'm drafting a running back in the first half of the first round, or kind of wherever in the first round, I am looking at who his handcuff is, who his backup is, and I'm looking at how talented he is, and would he be the guy would the guy behind the guy be the guy if the guy goes down? I think that goes into it. And for me,
it does. For me, it's not.
Okay, so but I look at it for Le'Veon Bell, and I'm like, okay, well, this is going to free up a late-round draft pick for me because if he used to go down, I don't know if there's much fantasy value at all with any of these guys behind him. Yeah, and I don't know if I'd say that about David Johnson. I don't know if I'd say that about who's another good example here. Kamara to a certain extent.
Joe Mixon has a backup with Gio, like a solid.
That'd be another one. Yep. Yeah.
Versus McCaffrey, you're like, we need to take Jordan Scarlett or Cameron Artis-Payne, and it seems like it might be Artis-Payne, but I mean, he was off the field so infrequently last year. Even if he gets hurt, Artis-Payne seems like a 3.3 yards per carry type guy. So
the other thing that, as long as we're talking about McCaffrey, did you see the report that Carolina, I believe it was Ron Rivera, said that they're not necessarily looking to limit his touches, they're looking to limit his snaps, which to me is great.
If I'm an opposing coach, it's great.
Because you know what's going on.
Yeah, thanks for the foreshadowing.
Yeah, exactly. But from a fantasy standpoint, if you own McCaffrey, this is good because you know you're maximizing his efficiency on his snaps. Because if he's on the field, he's going to get all he can handle. And it sounds like they want to give him a similar workload as to what they gave him last year from a fantasy standpoint.
Yeah, from touches. They want to give him the same number of touches. That actually makes sense. It's like there's no reason he has to be out there every freaking series. Just give the guy a break.
Yeah, and listen, I know everybody tends to just use running backs up, but I don't think that's the type of thing you want to do with a top 10 overall pick with McCaffrey here. I mean, this is a guy you want being a foundation of your team for more than a half decade at a minimum.
Yeah, he could be. The type of running back it is. I know he's the smallest guy, but he could break down. But I kind of feel like he's kind of like a Tiki Barber player a little bit, where although Barber broke out kind of late, it seems to me like he could have had a long career. I feel like McCaffrey could have a long career with a lot of touches. There's so many, he'll make a catch and then he'll scoot out of bounds and get 9 yards. So like that's a perfect cut.
And I think that we look at that and it's kind of like as men and as football fans we don't like that. But as fantasy fans, we love it. I love it.
Sure, yeah.
Like Torrey Holt, I loved it when Torrey Holt would catch a ball in the middle field and just go right down.
Yeah, Marvin Harrison would do that.
Marvin Harrison, and look at what those. I mean, Marvin Harrison's a Hall of Famer, is he not?
I believe so.
Torrey Holt's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, probably.
That's what smart receivers do. I love that from a fantasy standpoint because it really lessened the possibility for injuries there for him, no question. All right, let's get back into it. The 108 tonight, Vince Staffolino takes Devontae Adams. Adams is the second receiver selected ahead of the number one tight end off the board to Kern Reeve, and that is Travis Kelce. He is a red-hot wasp tonight at the 109. 3 running backs complete the first round. It is Joe Mixon to Biplab Mandel. It is Dalvin Cook to Kurt Kikas, and then it is Nick Chubb to the Wild Coyotes. That is Jimmy Wagner. So Nick Chubb, Dave, once again,
all over the place, isn't he?
Sneaking into the first round. I mean, we've seen him anywhere really from the 106 to the 208, 209.
I thought we'd seen him at the 210, 212 even.
Oh, okay. Well, as far as FFPC best balls go over the last 3 days, high has been 110, the low has been 212. Yeah. And that's after 24 drafts worth of a sample size. So
what an elusive draftee.
Well, how do you fall in on it? Because he's not a huge pass catcher. He does have a huge pass catcher playing behind him, and then he also has Kareem Hunt looming for the fantasy playoffs.
I wouldn't say I would be avoiding him, but I probably would not be seeking him out necessarily. I'd be more interested in, at that point, Tyreek, Odell Beckham, Juju Smith-Schuster, Julio, Michael Thomas. I would take Chubb over James Conner though, and so I think that, and I would take him over Gurley as well because I don't, I was going to take Gurley.
The health factor.
So
sure.
I think if I was Wild Coyotes, I'm for sure taking a running back. I would have taken Chubb, but I probably would not have taken a running back there. But that's each their own. Just keeping, unlike all these other drafts, this is a 20-round classic style.
Correct. Yes.
Where you have waivers and size, you're not going to see 3 kickers and 3 defenses per team drafted and so on.
No, you won't. You absolutely won't. What's your philosophy on that as far as kickers and defense go? You take one of each in this format?
Well, one of each unless it's Kentucky. Then sometimes I'll take 2 defenses.
Right.
Their defense scoring is so wacky.
It's insane. Yeah. It's defense scoring on steroids down there. Let me ask you this. What was the last, you personally did, what was the last running back that was not known as a pass catcher or did not catch a lot of passes that you were targeting and grabbed in the first couple of rounds of a draft? To take you down memory lane here, if there even was one. I quite frankly, I think about all of our conversations over the years of who you like, who you're avoiding. I cannot honestly remember a time where you talked about, hey, this is the guy I really want in the first round. This is the guy I really want in the second round. A running back who is a high-volume guy but doesn't catch passes. I really can't remember you ever pimping up anybody in the first 25 picks of a draft that was not known as a pass catcher that you're like, hey, this guy's going to have a big year.
Well, it's pretty. I mean, that's just kind of rare though that a non-pass catching back in PPR leagues is going to be drafted in the top 24 picks.
Well, Nick Chubb.
Yeah, there is the argument though that he can catch passes, but I know what you're saying. He's almost like a rich man Derrick Henry in that he sounds like he can, but he's not really proven to do it yet. Yeah, I don't really generally do that. So
I thought of one. I don't know what year this was.
Okay, go ahead.
I remember you being in on Steelers running back Rashard Mendenhall.
Oh yeah, that's true actually.
And he was not known as a pass catcher.
That's true. Right.
And he went. That's the year he was going in the mid to late first round. And
that didn't work out. He got hurt, I think.
He did.
But nevertheless, I think that there's definite downside risk if you have a guy that's not a pass catcher. You need everything else to go right.
I feel like he had some fumbling issues as well that took snaps away from him because he had that breakout year and then he was just that was it for him.
Yeah, that's true.
Speaking of Steelers running backs, we have one go off the board here at the 201 tonight to Jimmy Wagner. That's James Conner to pair with his Nick Chubb. The newly minted highest paid receiver in the NFL. I believe he is the highest paid receiver in the NFL now after he signed that new contract. Michael Thomas to Kurt Kikis. Todd Gurley comes off the board to Biplab Mandela at 203. He starts running back with Mixon and Gurley. Now we get a trio of receivers off the board. Julio Jones falls tonight to the 204. Juju Smith-Schuster to Vince Staffolino as he goes receiver with Devontae Adams and JJSS Odell Beckham. Right after that, Dilly, that's Frankie Bornoni. And I got to say, if we graded this league or if we went by the scoring in this league of the flake scale, nobody's touching Frank Bornoni after his first two picks in Le'Veon Bell and Odell Beckham, Dave. That is the highest flake scale score we've ever given for anybody in any of these leagues with Bell and Beckham as your first two picks.
Interesting fellow.
George Kittle off the board as the number 2 tight end. We saw this happen in Pros versus Joes with 4-for-4s. Peter Overzet taking Kittle nearly a full round ahead of Zach Ertz, but Kittle is the tight end 2 tonight. That's to the career killers at 6, Tony Giustiniani and Donald Rich. Tyreek Hill falls tonight to the 208 to Lucky Horseshoe. Lucky Horseshoe is, of course, Joseph Paprzycki. And then you have Zach Ertz as tight end 3 tonight to John Terry. Finishing things up here in round 2, it's Mike Evans at the 210 to Tony Punk. Antonio Brown to the 211 pick tonight. Antonio Brown going to Emerson Rammel. And then Kerryon Johnson to Adam Krautwurst as the final pick of the second round tonight as he starts off Barkley and Kerryon Johnson, running back, one of 3 teams to start off with 2 consecutive running backs. Dave?
Did you hear that Antonio Brown's been missing practices with the Raiders and that Gruden said that we're all disappointed that he's not there?
I did not hear that.
Yeah.
That come out today?
Yeah, it came out 6 hours ago. I think we're all disappointed that he was a non-participant in practice.
Really?
Yeah, continued absence, and they've not provided a timetable for his return, and he's missed several practices since open camp. Now we just talked about the flake scale. We said Antonio Brown was high on it, and this is what you get. You get a guy flaking out and just whatever he's doing. So I also read an article in the Wall Street Journal about how Antonio Brown had a super unconventional practice. He was traveling all over the world this summer.
Okay.
And he kept on trying to practice with like a rugby guy in like New Zealand or whatever, or he'd go practice with somebody else. And he'd go through these super grueling workouts. So I know Antonio Brown is supposed to be in like fantastic shape according to the Wall Street Journal article.
Right.
But this is kind of crazy actually.
All right, so just to update you on this Antonio Brown situation, on July 26th, the Raiders placed him on the active NFI list with a foot injury. Now, they said it was a very minor injury for whatever reason. And remember, Antonio Brown did arrive to Raiders training camp in a hot air balloon. So the injury was...
He might be moving up the scale.
He might be. So then July 28th, 2 days later, the Raiders take him off the active NFI list, okay? So that's where we're at right now. And then the update, as you just pointed out, beat reporter for the Raiders, Lindsey Jones, tweets out, this is roughly 4:30 Eastern time today, said that Antonio Brown is still not practicing. Earlier in this week, Antonio Brown shared a picture on Instagram of how blistered his feet were. Now, we don't know how old that picture is. It could be, maybe
from unconventional practice.
It could be, yeah. You're traveling around the world and you're blistering your feet in 6 different continents. That's entirely possible.
Yeah.
So again, we don't know, but this goes to your point about the flake scale with Antonio Brown, and John Gruden was frustrated by it. So, and I don't know if he's frustrated because of Brown or because of the situation or something else. I don't know. And this is sort of what you're dealing with and what you sign up for when you're drafting Antonio Brown.
It should make for good Hard Knocks TV, though.
Yes, it absolutely should.
They just keep showing his locker with him out there.
Now, that's Tuesday is the premiere, right? This Tuesday, I want to say.
Tuesdays? I forgot if it's Tuesdays or Wednesdays.
I will have to look it up right now, but I thought it was always Tuesdays on HBO.
See, I think you have kind of like a not great offense, and there's some risk with Antonio Brown. Although I like Tyrell Williams.
That was the next question I was going to ask.
I'm not going to say I like him a lot more, but I mean this is kind of even if he draws more coverage, I think it's not a bad thing if you have a little bit of downside with Brown.
August 6th, that's a Tuesday. That is the debut and the premiere of this season's Hard Knocks with the Raiders on HBO, so you can definitely check that out.
Not to mention that Tyrell Williams is getting more practice time and probably more targets from Derek Carr, so that's all good too. He's a new receiver, new quarterback connection. So.
Yep, no question. Absolutely, totally agree with you on that. The last thing I wanted to point out in this second round here, Dave, was Adam Krautwer's pick of Kerryon Johnson at the 212 tonight. Now, this guy's interesting because, well, we kind of heard differing reports that they want to manage his reps, but then they also want to give him all they can handle. That, he has not been the greatest pass catcher lately, but he's shown he can do it, and now Theo Riddick is a Bronco. So, theoretically, we should see a big step forward with Kerryon Johnson this year. Is that a guy that you personally would be looking to target at that 2-3 turn, given Darrell Bevell as the new offensive coordinator in Detroit? And yes, I know this is a leading question, that he loves to run the football, and Kerryon Johnson just happens to be very good at running the football.
And he's a running back.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I like Kerryon Johnson's talent. He's a pass catcher. I thought he was really good last year in all the games I was watching him play. He had good vision. He just looked the part. And I would be looking at. He was going in the mid third, sometimes late third, and so now it seems like he's moving up a little bit. But I don't know how much higher he's going to go. But I think he's okay at that spot. I really do.
Tough for me to put him on the ascendant list, given that he is already so high, and I believe he was on the ascendant list last year, if I remember correctly. We'll see where he goes. But before we get into the third round, let's go to the phone lines here. From the 626, you're on the HSFF Hour with Dave and Balky. Who's this?
Hey, this is Altadena Assassin.
The defending champion, ladies and gentlemen, of this league, it is Mr. Kurt Kikas. Now, Kurt asked me to do a little bit of homework on this league prior to this broadcast tonight, and he wanted me to share with you what happened in this league last year. And just like anything, I am here to please. So I will let you know that the Altadena Assassin narrowly defeated the notorious BIP last year. I believe it was the notorious BIP in the semifinals by about 19 points. Now, in the other semifinal, it was Tony Pung and John Terry duking it out, and Tony Pung actually won by less than 3 points. You think that was exciting? In the championship game of this league last year, Kurt Kikas defeats Tony Pung by a mere 2.25 points to go to the championship round. And Kurt, I think if there's any lesson to be learned here, it's that the 12 guys in this league are supremely talented, and this one, once again, is probably going to go down to the wire.
I would imagine so. We got some good players in there and some interesting picks thus far, and who knows what will happen. It'll always be a surprise.
You were drafting at the 11 spot tonight. You took Dalvin Cook at the 111. Was he a guy that you were targeting there? I know that he's been billed as a big-time breakout candidate this year, and it seems like you are on that bandwagon.
Yeah, I do. I do like Cook, and I was concerned, and I think rightfully so. I don't know if Wild Coyote would have taken him, but I thought he'd take at least one running back, and I didn't want to risk it, and I'm glad I did because he took two, and maybe Cook would have been one of those. So being that he took those two, I decided to take the highest paid receiver in round 2.
You did. You get and you don't have to pay him a dime, which is so great.
No, that's the beauty of it all.
But let's talk about your newfound Vikings fandom, Kurt, as 3 of your first 4 picks are members of the Purple People Eaters here. Dalvin Cook in the first round, and then Thielen and Diggs in the 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, my wife has remodeled the house and redesigned some things. We've got purple carpeting and purple drapes. I thought it'd be good picks given all that stuff. No, I think that's good value on both those guys. I see them both go way earlier in the 3rd round often, and it wasn't my plan to get a Viking stack like that, but they have a pretty solid defense, and they plan to run the ball some, but I still believe they're going to be relying on some of those receivers to catch about 95 balls apiece.
We just talked to you recently because you had drafted your team in the FFPC Pros versus Joes competition. Can you talk a little bit about how your strategy is going to differ tonight when you're looking at a 20-round classic league where you're trying to win $250,000 versus a 28-round closed 12-team league where you're trying to win an FFPC main event?
How's it going to be different? Well, I hope not to stink this time through. Usually when I do a best ball, I'll be more likely to go running back heavy at the beginning. I went 3 running backs in Pros versus Joes, and then try to ding a bunch of receivers and throw a couple tight ends in, and then go for some of those PPR backs, in the mid rounds. Not as likely to do that in this format. I like to have kind of a little more balance than that. But that being said, I mean, if things fall to me, I'll take what looks good, regardless of how it works for team construction.
You now, I'm not saying that you should have, because these guys both have ADPs right at the 209 right now in the FFPC, but those number 2 and 3 tight ends off the board, George Kittle and Zach Ertz, did you ever consider taking either of those guys at the 202 to try to make sure you're getting an elite top 3 tight end tonight, or was that not something that really entered the conversation, given that Michael Thomas was still out there for you in the second round?
Yeah, no, I haven't been taking those guys at the turn at all. I'm a believer that some of my best years in this format has been in predicting up-and-coming tight ends, because then I can get a guy like Thomas in round 2 and then get a tight end who's going to have a top 5 or top 6 finish a few rounds later. So hopefully I'll be able to do that again this year.
We're going to get to what John Terry did here in a second as far as what players he selected, but spoiler alert, he has 2 tight ends now in the first 5 rounds. Kurt, you've been in a lot of drafts where somebody will do that, where one team will double up on tight end either in the first 4 rounds, first 5 rounds, sometimes first 6 rounds too. Does that change your strategy at all, knowing that the tight ends could get pushed, especially when you're on the end, picking 11 or 12 or anything like that, or 11 like you are tonight? Does that change your strategy at all when you see a team double up on tight end early, or does that not affect it?
A couple factors. One, it depends on who's in the draft. I mean, there are certain people who like to push the tight end, so if they're in the draft, I may go one way. Otherwise, I may be more likely to grab a solid tight end. So at least I'm not going to be shut out of someone who has a possibility for a top 10 finish. And I'm looking at the board right here. There's still a bunch of tight ends I like, and there's some guys who are deeper in the draft too, who I'd be happy taking. So it all depends on what falls.
So,
but I'm not concerned at all. I'm not concerned at all what John Terry does. I mean, let's get that straight. Love you, John.
Are you planning to go wide receiver here again? Because the team 4 has no wide receivers at the 12 spot.
Yeah, I mean, I try to look at all of those things. I mean, there's some decent people on the board still. I've missed a few scratch-offs here because I'm yapping with Heckle and Jekyll on the phone. But I was looking here going, my God, Godwin's still there. Oh, my goodness. And, oh, no, he's not. He went quite a while ago. Yeah, I would consider hitting another receiver there, and then, maybe a good tight end coming back, or, a good running back, depending on who's there. But that's going to do a few different things in this draft.
Well, you want to walk us through your pick?
I'm seeing that you're on deck here, Kurt. Can you bring the listeners into the mind of @FFBFan on Twitter as far as what you're going to be doing here with your 5th round pick here at the 511?
Okay, well, I'm waiting for my gin and tonic, first of all, here at the Hilton, and it's dreadfully slow. Right now,
shout out to the Hilton.
Boom.
Good shout
out. I'm looking at there goes the guy I was looking at. I was afraid to jinx it. I like Boyd. I think Boyd's going to be pretty good this year, and who knows what's going to happen with AJ Green. I mean, he's turning into glass these days. So right now I'm looking at filling in with a running back, but some of these guys they're not jumping out at me. I've got the possibility here to grab a pretty interesting upside receiver or go tight end, which I think I'm gonna go. Looking at the board here, you know what? I think I'm gonna go tight end. And here's a guy I like. And boom.
I think I know
it's
who
early
it is, but
for
I'm
him,
not going to say it.
but I like him.
Yep, that's who I was, Vance McDonald. Vinnie Mac. That's I thought it might be him. This is a guy that I mean, all good things that I'm hearing about him in training camp for the Steelers, no question. We'll see if it pays off for you. Follow Kurt on Twitter at FFBFan. Certainly one of the most accomplished players in FFPC history. Kurt, we look forward to seeing you here in Vegas coming up. And also, if you have any questions about wine, whether it be Italian, French, American, African, Alabamian, whatever, he's your man. Kurt, thanks so much for calling in. Good luck.
I worked in prison for years, and I can also make Pruno with some old fruit and some dried bread. So, send me a direct message. I'll teach you how.
Okay, nice. Listen, I never know what I'm going to learn when I talk to the good doctor, but I always learn something. Kurt, thanks so much, dude. Good luck the rest of the way tonight.
All right, guys. You take it easy. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Kurt Kikas at FFB fan on Twitter. Again, has won a ton of money in the FFPC over the years, and the Football Guys Players Championship. Been on the road of his high stakes lowdown. Always an enjoyable guy to talk to about football, wine, prison, whatever. He's the expert. All right, let's get into the third round here, Dave, as we left off at the 212 with Adam Krautwurst taking Kerryon Johnson. It's Devontae Freeman, followed by Damian Williams to Emerson Rammel. Mari Cooper to Tony Pong, T.Y. Hilton at the 304 tonight to John Terry. Aaron Jones, the number 2 running back drafted by Lucky Horseshoe. That is Joseph Paperzicki. Then you have, after Aaron Jones goes, Leonard Fournette, followed by Melvin Gordon to Frankie Bornoni. What do you make of that start, Dave? Le'Veon Bell, Odell Beckham, and Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, that is definitely interesting.
There could be a lot of value in there. There could be a lot of Frank kicking himself later. We'll see what happens with that. We're in the midst of a running back run here. Marlon Mack to Vince Staffolino, and then Josh Jacobs off the board to Kern Reeves as his number 1 running back here at the 309. To finish off the 4th round, Keenan Allen to Biplab Mandel, Adam Thielen to Kurt Kikas, and then Sony Michel as the 3rd straight running back drafted by the Wild Coyotes, owned by Jimmy Wagner. Let's keep things going here in the 4th round. Got a good mix of players here as far as positions go. It's Derrick Henry at the 401 tonight to Wagner. That is his 4th straight running back he's drafted. Stephon Diggs, as you heard from Kurt Kikas, that is his 4th round selection at the 402. Number 3 receiver. Evan Engram goes off the board after that as the tight end 4 to Biplab Mandel. David Montgomery, the rookie out of Iowa State, running the ball for the Chicago Bears this year to Kern Reeves. So that means Kern's starting backfield, both rookies this year. Dave, does Kern play a lot of Dynasty? Because I think he's got the fever.
Yeah, he must.
He might have the fever, and the only cure
if he's not, he should play more.
Is more cowbell. Mark Ingram to Vince Staffolino right after that. That's Vince's 2nd running back. Julian Edelman is the 2nd wide receiver drafted by Frank Imbornoni here to pair with Odell Beckham. Kenyon Drake to the Career Killers. Now, Team 6, the Career Killers, as we know, as I brought to you at the top of the program, it's Tony Giustiniani and Donald Rich.
Kind of a funny team name for a team that takes Drake.
Well, okay, so let's talk about Kenyon Drake here because we've seen the kid out of Arizona State, Kalen Ballage, who's been running with the ones, and the beat reporters out of Miami, at least one of them, is saying that they kind of envision a 45-40-15 split.
That's the first time I've ever heard that percentage, by the way.
That was what, and
I've heard that, but that's the first time I've ever heard that split in my life.
But doesn't that make sense? I mean, can you see that though with Miami?
15.
The rest of them. There's not like one running back. It's just like the rest, like the trash gets 15.
Possible, sure.
So knowing that, if that is the case, I don't know if I can get on board with Kenyon Drake in the 4th round, Dave.
Well, obviously not.
Okay, so this is.
Name a running back that if you have 40% of the carries that you think you would take in the 4th round. Maybe Alvin, maybe Kamara, whatever.
Larry Johnson, circa 2000, whatever it was, with Priest Holmes.
Yeah. Hey, maybe McCaffrey if he was splitting time with like Jonathan Stewart or something. You know.
Man.
But it has to be like this pure pass catching superstar.
Yeah.
You have to have.
Right, and that's not Drake.
No.
Now, there is something to be said for Kalen Ballage not being a pass-catching superstar, and there is something to be said for Miami not particularly being very good this year. And if that is the case, then that 45% might be a little bit low for Kenyon Drake, and it might turn into a lot of gold with more passes that he could be catching too. But I guess the thing I wonder, it's like, we felt like Adam Gase was the one that held Kenyon Drake back. We felt like that was the reason that Kenyon Drake was not getting the lion's share of the touches in that Miami backfield. And now Brian Flores comes in, and granted he's a defensive guy, but still you see him coming in, and now we have Kenyon Drake still not getting the lion's share of the touches and not even running with the ones. So it gets to be a point of maybe it's not you, or maybe it's not me, it's you, and it's Kenyon Drake. And from always saying we love the Drake, we may start hating the Drake here, especially after he decided that we give him this big screen TV, Dave, and then he's going to give it to charity when him and his wife split up right after their nuptials. Hate the Drake.
Yeah, very good.
That is a Seinfeld reference.
I know. Yeah, and I might actually be looking at Balazs. I'm not the only one, but no, if you're going to have the time sharing guys, grab the guy that goes later. That's always.
I totally agree with that. No question. Robert Woods off the board. He is part one of back-to-back Rams receivers here in the fourth. Woods to Paprzycki, and then Brandon Cooks to John Terry right after that. Hunter Henry is the fifth tight end off the board. He goes to Tony Pong, and then a couple of breakout receivers here in the fourth round to complete it. DJ Moore to Emerson Rammel, and then Chris Godwin is the number one receiver for Adam Krautwurst. I think I might have referenced this in Pros versus Joes, Dave, but the upside of Chris Godwin as your number one receiver when you start off with your draft with three straight backfield dominant running backs that should be controlling things, I think is a nice little consolation prize. In fact, I think it was David Hubbard in Pros versus Joes, or maybe it was Chad Schroeder, and I can't remember. It was some very talented FFPC drafter, a Joe that did it, not a pro. And he actually didn't end up with Godwin, but he got Tyler Lockett as his number one. And I say that because Krautwurst gets Tyler Lockett as his number two here to lead off the fifth round. So he goes Barkley, Kerryon Johnson, Devontae Freeman, and then still ends up with a couple of breakouts in Godwin and Lockett. And say what you will about Lockett, and I know he was touchdown dependent last year, and I'm not saying the touchdowns totally get replaced by an addition of receptions, but I think you could see a lot more receptions going Tyler Lockett's way this year with Doug Baldwin out of the picture. And DK Metcalf, that guy should just be doing nothing but sprints because all he can do is run up and down the field, Dave. He can't change direction. And if he's going to be running 9 routes 70% of the time, that guy's got to be in shape. It's a good thing he has, 0.3% body fat or whatever it is, because he can't have a whole lot of it hanging off his haunches if he's going to be running all those 9 routes.
Okay, you said a whole lot of shit there.
Yeah.
Do you have a question at all? I don't know what.
No, I'm just asking. No question. Just asking to chime in on the Godwin and Lockett picks when you have 3 running backs going off the board for you early, and then you get Godwin and Lockett as your top 2 receivers.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's cool. I mean,
not the way that you would have done it.
I'm not that excited about Godwin and Lockett as my top 2 receivers, but he's got really great running backs, so that's the penalty for the price you pay.
Right.
So that's fine.
Chris Carson off the board at the 502 to Emerson Rammel, and then the quarterbacks finally been cracked here at the 503 with Tony Pong taking good old Patty Mahomes. O.J. Howard is the number 2 tight end drafted by John Terry. You heard me reference this when we were talking to Kirk Kikas before. O.J. Howard off the board at the 504 to John Terry, and that is backing up Zach Ertz on his team. So he goes 2 tight ends early. Cooper Kupp, the 3rd Rams receiver drafted, and actually the 2nd Rams receiver drafted by Lucky Horseshoe and Joseph Paprzycki. That is Kupp going at the 505 tonight, followed by Mike Williams to the Career Killers at 6. James White, the Patriots pass-catching running back at the 507. That is the number 3 running back drafted by Frank Imbornoni. And then you have Darrell Henderson to Vince Staffolino as his number 3 running back here. A couple of receivers off the board. Kenny G apparently is the new nickname for Kenny Galladay. I don't know if you've heard this. Yeah, people are calling him Kenny G. Not a great football.
It took a long while to get to that.
Yeah, well, I guess people are calling him Baby Megatron or Megatron Jr., and I guess he didn't care for that nickname. So now he has to go with Kenny G. That's the backup.
The soft rock.
Yacht
rock?
No, yeah, Kenny Galladay is not yacht rock. Yeah, or excuse me, Kenny G is not yacht rock.
What is he? What's his?
That's jazz. Kenny G is jazz. Yeah. Well, sax jazz. Yeah. Ask Matt Waldman. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yacht rock is kind of that woofy stuff.
Right, but Kenny G is. I mean, yacht rock. There's like a little bit of there's a little bit of bite. There's a little bit of bite to it. There's no bite to Kenny G's music.
So Kenny G's softer than yacht rock?
Yeah, he's totally. He's like soft yacht rock. Yeah, he's dinghy rock. He's dingy rocking Kenny G going off the board to Kern Reeve at the 509 tonight. Tyler Boyd is the number 2 receiver drafted by the notorious BIP here.
My dingy's bigger than your whole boat.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe some cornerback is going to scratch his anchor. Vance McDonald off the board at the 511 to Kurt Kikas. You heard that pick live on the air. And then A.J. Green going off the board as the number 1 receiver to Jimmy Wagner. Okay, so let's look at this here, Dave, for a second. Now, in this format, you can start 4 running backs, as we all know. But when you go for running backs early, would you be looking at A.J. Green as like a total upside play at the 512, or would you still be ignoring him given the fact that we know he's missing at least 2 regular season games?
I don't think it's a bad selection. I do think there are other players I would have taken. In fact, Ridley, Landry, or Allen Robinson. But again, personal opinion, I prefer all 3 of those receivers over A.J. Green and Corey Davis. But actually, all 5 of those receivers I think are pretty solid. It makes sense. So you take Corey Davis, then you draft somebody else later, whatever, and you're starting your 4 running backs, and you just hold off on A.J. Green. If he comes back and he's good in week 5 and later, you're in really good shape.
I almost wonder if you're liking Corey Davis now more than I am.
Well, I just said that I prefer Ridley, Jarvis Landry, and Allen Robinson over Corey Davis. So
no, maybe not. But you like Corey Davis better than A.J. Green.
They're in that kind of same neighborhood. Yeah, with the injury, I think they're kind of close.
I guess it's pointless because if you were in a draft right now and I said, Dave, who are you taking, Corey Davis or A.J. Green? You'd be like, Balky, I'm taking somebody else.
Yeah, I would say Landry and Robinson.
Yeah.
I'd probably taken Ridley and Landry myself out of those 5 receivers.
By the way, Two-Packer chiming in from the chat. He wants everybody to know that Kenny Galladay is not, in fact, a WR1.
I've heard that before.
From Two-Packer.
A couple of times.
On Twitter.
A couple hundred.
I don't know if it's done that much, but maybe. Well, it's probably been more than that, quite frankly. Corey Davis.
You can search his Twitter. You can search his Twitter for Galladay and see how many times.
Well, wouldn't you just have to bring up his timeline and then go really far down and then search?
Yes, you could do that, or you could just search under his. You can search for all the tweets that he's ever done. You can do that.
Just search at Two-Packer and then Galladay.
Yeah, Galladay.
Oh,
okay. It'll show all the instances.
Interesting. All right. Well,
whatever.
I love the Twitter lesson. The Dizzle isn't just the patron saint of fantasy football. It's the patron saint of Two-Packer Twitter.
Yeah, terrible social media.
Right. Corey.
Not meaning Meyer, I mean Twitter.
Just in general. Corey Davis at the 601 tonight to Jimmy Wagner as his number 2 receiver. The Altadena assassin, defending champ of this league, Allen Robinson is his pick. Kurt Kikas, that is, at the number 602 tonight as his 4 receiver. Oh, I like that. Jarvis Landry at the 603 tonight, Dave. To Biplab Mandel. Why is Jarvis Landry going so late in drafts this year? This is a guy who got a ton of balls last year. Jarvis Landry, as far as FFPC drafters go, within the last 3 days, on average, he is going at the 607. So this was actually a reach by Biplab Mandel, if you want to look at it that way, at the 603. Meyer's going to say something like, he needs to be doing the hot yoga for a reach like that. But you look at Landry at the 603, I still think that's a really good value.
I totally agree. When you have Baker Mayfield and you have ODB drawing coverage away from you, I think that's a great pick. And he's been a top. You go back to Jake Ricker, who's been a top 24 receiver before. He can easily do it again.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. I think I'm going to end up with Jarvis Landry in quite a few leagues this year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens there, and I don't think I'll feel bad about it at all. Philip Lindsay off the board right after that, the quote-unquote starter for the Denver Broncos to Kern Reeve, the first non-rookie running back he's drafted. Calvin Ridley, maybe he took some ibuprofen for that dynasty fever after round 4 here, Dave, tonight. Calvin Ridley to Staffolino, that is Vince Staffolino, as his number 3 receiver tonight at the 605. Couple of TC running backs here. Tariq Cohen to Frank Ibornoni and Tevin Coleman to the career killers at 6. Career killers are, of course, Tony Giustiniani and Donald Rich. David Njoku is the starting tight end for Joseph Paprzycki here at the 5th selection here, or team number 5 in the 6th round, followed by Lamar Miller to John Terry as his second running back. Eric Ebron is the second tight end for Tony Pung, after he goes Hunter Henry in the 4th, then he goes Mahomes in the 5th, and Eric Ebron here in the 6th at the 6'10". Couple of receivers end things here in the 6th round. It's Dante Pettis to Emerson Ramald, and then Will Fuller to Adam Krautwurst. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. If you were looking at either Pettis or Fuller, who would you rather have?
Neither.
Oh, okay, that's not the answer I was expecting. I thought you were going to say Pettis.
I would say Pettis because I don't draft guys who get hurt all the time.
Do you not like Pettis in general for the 49ers because you don't know who the number 1 receiver is going to be there?
Well, I honestly didn't feel like he was a super talented player coming out, unlike some people, and that's fine.
Right.
Maybe he will end up being that player, and I know the team is high on him. It's just not the player for me, and that's if I miss on him, that's okay. I'm okay with it.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Do you like any Niners this year? Just curiously, when you look at that team
overall.
Yeah, overall.
Kittle, obviously.
Oh, you do like Kittle, because there's a lot of people on Twitter lately that are saying that Kittle's going too high and they think he's in for big time regression.
I mean, he has. I know that he has caught some big, long passes last
right.
year. When you catch a long pass, an 85-yard touchdown, it's because you're fast and you're good and you made a big play. I mean, it does count. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not if like six guys tripped over each other like the Keystone Cops or something, and then okay, that's a fluky play. But he's a pretty awesome player. Garoppolo is hopefully going to be healthy all season. That's upside.
Sure.
You look at the receiver core; it's not very good. We're talking about Dante Pettis as undersized receiver being a superstar. And I guess having Coleman, I'm interested in him. The prognosticators been listening and he keep talking about it to me. I mentioned that the other day. So I'm on board with Coleman, I would say. Because McKinnon's not getting healthy anymore.
He's hurt, yeah.
He's perpetually hurt. He's not going to be healthy.
Matt Breed is just a guy, right?
I think so. I mean, he'll get some, he'll get some playing time. But it sounds to me like Coleman is the value in the 6th round, 5th round.
Yeah. Well, tonight he goes to the career killers tonight, Dave, at the 607.
Yeah, that's a solid pick. I mean, really, I think that's a really good pick for him. Especially he waited a little bit, and that's his 3rd running back.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Makes sense. All right, moving on to the 7th round here. It's Miles Sanders as the 4th running back selected by Adam Krautwurst to go with Barkley, Kerryon Johnson, and Devontae Freeman. He gets Miles Sanders as his number 4. Robbie Anderson right after that to Emerson Rammel as his number 4 receiver. Darius Geis is paired with Alvin Kamara in the Tony Pung backfield here at 703. A very interesting strategy from John Terry tonight, Dave, as we see him go not 1, not 2, but 3 tight ends in the first 7 rounds, Zach Ertz in the 2nd, O.J. Howard in the 5th, and now Jared Cook, the Raiders tight end, at the 704 tonight. He now has more tight ends than running backs, more tight ends than receivers, and more tight ends than all other positions combined on his team.
That is true. What is Jared Cook ADP? That seems really late for me, like the 704 for him.
I can tell you.
It's been ignored there by something.
Right, yeah. Jared Cook in FFPC.
605, 606?
No, earlier actually, 5'11".
Dude, that's so crazy. What are you guys doing over there, teams 1 and 2? You select Jared Cook, go on the wayside?
5'11", ironically, Dave, which would be my height if I was 4 inches shorter.
Well, when you're drunk?
Something like that.
Leroy's like 6'4", 260 when he's drunk.
He always
instead of a little bit shorter.
He looks 6'4", 260 all the time.
He's a bruiser, baby.
He is a bruiser. Let's see if we got a bruiser on the phone line here on the HSFF Hour from the 612. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Hey, Balgi.
Biff Lab Mandel, the notorious BIP himself from the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown fame, the HSFF Hour fame. How's it going tonight, man? Picking from the 10th spot. How do you like your team now that you're 8 picks in?
I actually like it. With so many football guys draft I was doing, I was little pleased that with all these seasoned players, I got the 10th pick. So I had decided I'm going to go high risk, high return, or let it go down the toilet. So I made some bets, and it looks good right now, what I've managed to acquire.
There's a lot of people right now that even still with positive news coming out about Todd Gurley, they're still not willing to touch him as far as where you selected him, and even in some cases later. I look at his ADP in the FFPC Best Ball Leagues over the last 3 days, and he's going at the 206. Now, you selected him at the 203 tonight. How concerned are you, or I guess there's not a lot of concern about his knee holding up for the course of the season, because you're banking on him not only as your second running back, but your second round pick?
So the other thing to consider, Balki, is I will probably do between 12 to 20 football guys, and it's very important that I have 2 or 3 teams with players like Gurley, who could return a top 3 value if he lasts whole season. And to win some of these tournaments, you need to take high risks with some teams and go with high floors elsewhere. So I've been reaching out here so that, it pays off as a gamble in the championship weeks. And that's what will differentiate you from others.
You're not allowed to say gamble on our show at all, so it comes to the rules.
Well, it depends what context you're using it in. Gamble can still be used in
you know what? Sports betting's getting legalized all over. Just do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, we're still going to beep it later. Let's talk about your tight end here that you selected in the 4th round, Biff. Now, the big 3 were off the board. I have seen O.J. Howard as the 4th tight end selected. I have seen Hunter Henry as the 4th tight end selected. You made Evan Engram the 4th tight end selected tonight. Talk a little bit about why you liked him best after the big 3 were off the board.
Sure. So, if you look at my team, I already have Keenan Allen, and then Hunter Henry would also have a Week 12 bye, so I eliminated him there. And O.J. Howard is pretty good, but he just has, multiple competition in Godwin and Evans. So, and with Giants receivers going down, I thought Evan Engram carries the most upside. There'll be a bad team, and if Barkley is blocked, they'll dink and dunk at him. So that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Biff Mandel joining the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour tonight here for the live Football Guys Players Championship Draft. Biff Lab drafting from the 10 spot tonight. One of the more interesting conversations I think fantasy players have been having over the last week and a half or so is this A.J. Green injury. Not necessarily how it affects A.J. Green, but how does it affect Tyler Boyd? We pointed out on the show that Boyd had his best performances last year with A.J. Green on the field. The Bengals chose to lock Boyd up instead of A.J. Green prior to the injury.
Smart.
So when you look at Tyler Boyd here as your pick at the 5-10 tonight, what sort of season are you expecting from him, especially when we know A.J. Green's missing regular season games, and then when he does come back, what do you think Tyler Boyd's going to do this season, Biff?
So I am expecting a breakout season from players like Tyler Boyd, Chris Godwin. Even with whether Green was hurt or not hurt, I would have expected Boyd to have a better season, and I expect Boyd to be their number 1 receiver. So finding Boyd at that 5-10 spot was great. Actually, I would have taken Kenny Golladay if he lasted, but he didn't. So Boyd was my best pick over there.
The other thing I want to ask you, too, now, this isn't necessarily about your team, but a guy that you have teamed up with for a certain number of leagues this year is John Terry, who's also drafting in this league tonight. And John has taken 3 tight ends in the first 7 rounds. Now, Biff, I don't know what kind of conversation you guys had prior to this draft or what kind of conversation you guys have had about your other leagues that you're teaming up in. But how much, were you surprised to see this? Were you not surprised to see what John's doing here with Ertz, Howard, and Jared Cook in the first 7 rounds?
Well, I'm not surprised, but I can tell you that was not his plan going into this league. I think a lot of weird picks, right? Like I took Gurley pretty early. I'm pretty sure one of those teams with those top 4 running backs would have wanted to stack Gurley, right? So it threw the board a little bit here and there. And then both John and I are also, players who value ADPs and where someone falls. For example, he was forced to take Jared Cook there because he lasted on the board. I don't think that was his plan. So that's how he's got it. But, he's an experienced player. He can roll all the 3 tight ends every week and still make good money here. I think he has to be a little smart about his running backs because they are going to vanish pretty quickly. But again, these are all experienced players, and to beat them, you have to take some risks.
So, BetLab, so you took Evan Engram. So this is, I'm going to tell you my experiences. So if I were you and I took Evan Engram in the 4th, and then he takes Howard, and then it comes back around, and then all of a sudden, team 747 takes Ebron, so he gets 2, and then he takes Jared Cook in the 7th round. You got to just be loving it in the 4th round because you've already got your tight end, versus like team 8 or team 12 where they're like, oh my God, these tight ends keep going. Do you kind of feel that way when you have an early tight end and like you get a big tight end run?
Yeah, I would have hoped for a big tight end run. I think if you look at the 9th round now, 3 tight ends went consecutively, and I think that's pretty high for Jordan Reed. But teams have to go for tight ends over here. I'm pretty happy I got a good tight end early, so I don't have to worry about it. And, just keep building my depth around running backs and wide receivers.
Biplab, you are, let's see, it looks like you are on deck here coming up at the 9-10. You already have 4 receivers on your roster. You have 3 running backs, and as we pointed out earlier, you have Evan Engram on your team. Now, I look at this, you have 6 quarterbacks off the board, obviously a bunch of receivers, a bunch of running backs, and quite a few tight ends, quite frankly, at this point as we're in the 9th round. You're looking at, what is this? I
don't know who I would take.
14 tight ends off the board. You're on the clock right now here at the 9-10. Who's the pick going to be, Bip?
I am going to build my running back depth and take Jalen Samuels.
Ooh, that's a Gerzak pick right there, Dave.
That's not who I would have picked, but that's a nice pick.
You do like Jalen Samuels as your number 4 running back,
Yep.
no question. In that Biplab, we all follow you on Twitter at __ Rainmaker, and certainly appreciate everything that you do, that you put out there. And good luck at all your leagues this year. Thanks so much for chiming in, and we will talk to you again real soon. By the way, good luck in Pros versus Joes, and good luck trying to take down that $500,000 in the main event.
Yeah, baby.
Yes. See you guys in Vegas. Thank you. Good night.
You got it.
Vegas.
Can't wait.
Vegas, baby.
Biplab Mandel, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, you know what? I should have asked him. He's a big movie fan. I should have asked him what the best movie he's seen in 2019 so far. What about you? What's the best movie you've seen this year, Dave?
The best movie I've seen in 2019.
Doesn't necessarily have to be a movie that came out in 2019, but just a movie that you've seen for the first time in 2019. Was it that documentary you were watching earlier tonight, or no?
No, but there was a documentary that I thought was awesome.
Oh, I know what it is. Yeah,
it was a mountain climbing documentary.
Yeah,
where the dude climbed. He climbed El Capitan, free solo is the name of it.
Free Solo, yeah.
Yeah, it's on National Geographic Channel. Awesome.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. But it's not probably the best movie I saw.
What was the best then?
You know, honestly, I think that what is it, Green Book or whatever?
Oh yeah, with the guy Mahershala Ali and the guy from Lord of the Rings. Why is his name escaping me?
Yeah,
Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah, that was actually I thought a really good movie. So whatever.
And you're not a big movie guy. But.
Well, I like movies, but I don't usually like the Oscar-winning type movies.
Right.
You know,
but that won the Best Picture this year.
I know, I mean, it won the Best Picture, and I'm like, oh, you know what? Damn, that's probably the Best Picture.
Yeah.
So I thought it was good. It was funny. It was interesting, and it was good.
Have not seen it yet. I gotta start watching more movies, no question. All right, I want to dedicate the next 3 seconds of this show to one Jeremy Roach. This is for La Cucaracha. That's the sound of a White Claw Natural Lime being opened right here on the.
You must like Missionary.
I do like Missionary, and I like my White Claw Natural Lime. I bet you like Truly. Son of a gun.
I actually watched that video again. What's the best YouTube video of 2019? Oh, the White Claw.
The White Claw one, yeah, no question. All right, let's get into this here. We left off with John Terry's Jared Cook pick here at the 704. Royce Freeman to Lucky Horseshoe right after that, followed by Rashad Penny to the Career Killers, then Latavius Milne to Frank Imbornoni. After that, Christian Kirk, the ostensibly the number 2 receiver for Arizona. Is that the way you see that, Dave? I know we've been, don't answer that. I want to get into that later. Deshaun Watson, I apologize, everybody, to the Red Hot Wasp here as the number 2 quarterback off the board at the 709. Alshon Jeffrey and Austin Eckler to Biplab Mandel and Kirk Kikas right after that. And Aaron Rodgers, the 3rd quarterback selected here by Jimmy Wagner tonight. First quarterback he selected, 3rd one off the board. And then he goes Cortland Sutton to lead things off at the 801. And then Ronald Jones to Kurt Kikas as his number 3 running back. Jordan Howard, the Philadelphia bell cow, allegedly, to Biplab Mandel, followed by one of my favorite players of all time. It's Larry Fitzgerald, the current Reeve. Love that pick. Austin Hooper. Anybody want to send me a deal for him in the Blake Harrington Dynasty League? You can have him. That's Austin Hooper to Vince Staffolino here as his starting tight end.
I think it's tight end, actually.
Well, let's talk. He is coming off a 70-catch season, Dave, but I'll give him to you cheap. Dante Moncrief right after that, or Monte Doncrief, as we like to refer to him on this show. That is Frank Imbornoni's pick there. Andrew Luck is the starting quarterback for Tony Giustiniani and Donald Rich. And then Joseph Paperzicki right after that goes with another quarterback. That's Carson Wentz. Sammy Watkins to John Terry, Sterling Shepard to Tony Pong, Baker Mayfield right after that to Emerson Rammel, and to complete round 8, it is Curtis Samuel, as the number 4 receiver drafted by Adam Krautwurst. Now, this is interesting, Dave, because Krautwurst is coming up here on the clock, and he went TTQT at the 901. He has 4 running backs. He has 5 receivers, no tight end. Is it desperation mode for him to get one at this 10-11 turn?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I didn't realize there'd be that resounding of a yeah, but okay.
Well, I mean, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's tight end 18 right now is where we're at. And that's your first one. I mean, it's tough, man. You know, that's the thing that's tough about those, the 1 team and the 12 team. Neither one has a tight end right now. And, you know, they're kind of paying the price for ignoring that position. It's definitely their choice, but we'll see how it goes for them.
I guess it kind of depends where you pick in a Football Guys draft. Dave, is there
But I mean, it does, but it doesn't. I mean, you don't have to ignore it.
Right. No, I'm not saying you ignore it, but I guess it depends where you pick. I guess the question I want to ask you is there a sweet spot for you for tight ends to make sure you have one by such and such, or are you just going, I want to have one by like the 7th, I want the 7th or 8th one off the board. I want the 10th or 11th one off the board. I want the 4th or 5th one off the board. How do you look at the tight ends this year?
Well, okay, like we talked about this on Pros versus Joes, and if I have a pick in the top 4 or 5 picks, I am looking at either Ertz Kittle in the second,
sure,
or I'm looking at Hunter Henry, O.J. Howard, or Ingram in the 4 or 5 turn.
Okay.
And if you take a look at all these teams, teams 1 through 3 did not have an option of the top 3 tight ends, right? So they didn't have a choice. Ertz and Kittle were both gone. However, in the 4th, 5th turn, Hunter Henry goes at the 4-10, and O.J. Howard goes in the 5th round. So teams 1 and 2 could have taken O.J. Howard if they wanted to. They did not. They chose not to. But that, to me, is like you could get one of those top 6 tight ends at your option. If you were teams 1 through 5, or actually 1 through 6 could have had one, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're 5 or 6, maybe you want to look at Ertz and Kittle. So if you're on the other side, you kind of just, again, you have to scrape for value if some comes to you, and if they don't. I think Bifflab did a nice job, even though he took Ingram kind of, I don't want to say early, but he got Ingram and then he took Mark Samuels. I know we haven't talked about him yet, but that was a nice 10th round.
Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews, and St. Sanders. And then Altavia Assassin, I think, did a pretty good job with Vance McDonald and Trey Burton. And he, again, wisely took the tight end at the 9-11 pick, but then Wild Coyotes ignores tight end anyway at the 9-10 turn. So,
we'll see how Jimmy, that's Jimmy Wagner at the 12th spot. We'll see what he does here as we move on. Now, Krautwurst does take a tight end at the 11:01 here in Mike Gesicki, so he didn't totally miss on the position, but one could say he totally missed on the position.
Well, there's rumor, walking before the show, we were talking about Mike Gesicki, and there's an article in the, whatever it is, the Port.
Miami Herald?
Yeah, or something Post, Miami, whatever.
The Miami Post-Dispatch. I might be making up a newspaper. .com.
Whatever it was.
Or no, what is it to say? With the Miami Post-Dispatch, online edition.
Yeah, like I just started. I'm an intern.
Yeah, yep.
They were saying Nick O'Leary might be the number 1, and then Dwayne Allen.
From Florida State.
Yeah, and then Dwayne Allen, and then some other guy, and then Gesicki. So, he might be a problematic player. I mean, he just might be a good athlete. It's not a good football player.
He might be. To Krautwurst's defense, though, there are a lot of high-stakes players out there that I have seen draft Mike Gesicki in a lot of leagues this year. So I know there's plenty of buzz.
Well, the thing is, he's an athlete, right? So you hope for a second-year breakout. A guy who didn't have a really great rookie year, but he's not a great productive player at Penn State. We were talking about that off there too. And if you're not a productive player in college, how are you going to be a productive player in the pros? That's one of RotoViz's big philosophies. If you don't produce in college, you're just not going to be productive in the pros, unless you're a player like, let's say, Jimmy Graham or somewhere where you're coming from basketball, or you're coming from some other sport, and you have extenuating circumstances, but he does not.
All right, so I will say this, not that I'm defending the Gesicki pick.
No, I mean, it's fine. I mean, or in general, you can defend it.
Who are the guys in Miami right now that are competing for targets with Gesicki? Kenny Stills, Kenyon Drake, Devontae Parker, right?
No.
Okay, well, besides the tight ends, the other. I'm talking about the surrounding talent.
You're moving beyond the most important part. But
here's the thing. Let's assume that he is like a metrics guy that fights his way onto the field. That Miami is going to give him the extra leash, given the draft capital they invested to him, and they're going to give him the opportunity.
Okay, and that's fine if you want to assume that. I will not assume that.
Okay, under the bulky circumstances here, if that's the case,
bulky dream scenario,
would you say that those are the players that are going to be on the field with him?
Yeah, Kenny Stills, Devontae Parker,
whatever. Albert
Drake.
Wilson, Kenyon Drake.
Yeah.
Remember who he was competing for targets with at Penn State?
No.
Chris Godwin and Saquon Barkley.
Well, Barkley's a running back. But
so is Kenyon Drake. So
fine.
Under my perfect scenario here, Dave, and maybe I'm just over-defending Adam Krautwurst's pick here.
Clearly.
But there is something to be said for that. By the way, Nick O'Leary, the quote-unquote starting tight end for Miami Dolphins, do you know who his grandfather was?
Tim
The Golden Bear, Jack Nicklaus. Florida State, breeding greatness.
Yeah, they don't breed degrees, I'll tell you that much. That's one thing they don't breed.
No comment. Moving on. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is the 902 pick to Emerson Rammel here. That is his 5th wide receiver selected. Justice Hill, the Baltimore Ravens rookie, to Tony Pung is his number 3 running back. Marvin Jones off the board after that, the number 2 receiver for Detroit, the number 4 receiver for Aunt Jemima. 3 tight ends off the board in a row. Dallas Goedert to Lucky Horseshoe, Jordan Reed to Career Killers, and then Chris Herndon to Frank Imbornoni's Dilly Dilly. D.D. Westbrook, I think I talked about this on Pros vs. Joe's Day. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm on D.D. Westbrook. I feel like the week 1 of Pros vs. Joe's, I'm like, what the hell am I missing with this guy? And then I actually did some research. I'm like, well, that's what I'm missing. Yeah, now I like him.
Yeah, I think Didi's got a shot. I mean, it's a 3rd-year breakout, and he's actually shown something. So I think that there's something there. I don't mind DJ Chark like uber late, and because no one likes it. So, and a league like this is the 20th round is too early probably
for Chark.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But he's like a waiver wire to look at. You take a look and see. Maybe he produces in week 1 of preseason. But I think in best ball leagues, why not take a look at Chark?
Sure.
They drafted him in the 2nd round. He wasn't super productive last year, but I mean, you're talking about 25th, 26th, 27th round.
That's a good point. DK Metcalf, the Seattle Seahawks receiver to Kern Reed after that. Another rookie for Kern Reed. Then we have Jalen Samuels. You heard that pick from BitBlab Mandel live on the air. Trey Burton to Kurt Kikas, and then Geronimo Allison to Jimmy Wagner as his number 4 receiver. And then he goes Tyrell Williams, Dave, to lead off the 10th round. So now he has 5 receivers, 4 running backs, and a quarterback. I guess he's got some work to do at tight end.
So who are we talking about again?
This is Jimmy Wagner's Wild Coyotes team at the 12th spot. The final one, he's got 5 wideouts, 4 running backs, and a quarterback thus far.
And you're saying tight end? That's what
he's got. I mean, yes, I know. Water's wet, and Jimmy Wagner is tight ends here.
I'm just so astounded at a certain player that hasn't been drafted yet.
Okay.
And oh my goodness, it's fine.
All right. Can you write it on a piece of paper and show it to me? Because I'm curious who it is.
I'll
see it shortly.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's fair enough.
The potential league winner if this person gets drafted, and it's just crazy that he hasn't gone. That's fine.
Potential league winner. He must have gone to Florida State.
No. He's also not a potential Nobel Prize winner if he went to Florida State.
Hey, Myron Rolle. No, seriously. Yeah. Myron Rolle was a Rhodes Scholar, and he went to Florida State.
Okay. It's not that big of a deal.
That is a big deal. Well, how many D1 football players do you know who are also Rhodes Scholars?
No, that's impressive.
Thank you.
So, okay, very good.
I'm just like, you can throw me under the bus, but at some point I'm going to try to get up.
You didn't go to Florida State.
No, I didn't. I just feel
like. What the hell do you care about?
Because I'm a fan of the program, and so I defend it a lot. Adrian Peterson, who did not go to Florida State, is the 1101 pick. No, excuse me. He is the
1112.
Yeah, so I'm going the wrong way here. Did I go? Oh no, Tyrell Williams. God, I'm an idiot. All right, thanks, White Claw. Tyrell Williams at the 10:01 tonight, followed by Naheem Hines right after that to Kurt Kikas. Mark Andrews, I really like him too, Dave. I don't know if I've mentioned that. I'm really starting to Mark Andrews. Damian Harris, another guy I really like here in the 10th round. Damian Harris to Kern Reeve, another rookie. What is going on here? Kern Reeve, I got a fever, and the only cure is more rookies for my dynasty love. Alexander Madison right after that to Vince Staffolino. Jack Doyle, quote-unquote backup tight end for the Colts. Maybe he's the starter. I don't know, but he's backing up Frank Imbornoni's Chris Herndon as he goes back-to-back tight ends after ignoring the position in the first 8 rounds. He has Herndon and Doyle. Devin Funchess off the board to the Career Killers right after that. That is Justiniani and Donald Rich. Peyton Barber is Joseph Paparzicki's number 4 running back here, followed by Dion Lewis, John Terry, Devin Singletary, the rookie running back from Buffalo to Tony Pung, T.J. Hawkinson, a rookie tight end, as the starter for Enter Sandman. That is Emerson Rammel, and completing the first half of the draft tonight, that is Matt Ryan, the quarterback for Adam Krautwurst tonight as his starter. Dave, what do you make of the Buffalo running back situation? T.J. Yeldon's there. You have Frank Gore farting around in that backfield. LaShawn McCoy could be cut. It seems like the guy they've invested the most into, and the guy who's getting a lot of number 1 reps right now, is Devin Singletary.
I don't think he's a very talented player, but there's a chance that they make that move to cut Shady McCoy. I mean, it's been rumored a little bit. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. I just can't get. There's so many things going on there. I just can't get into that.
Even in the 10th round?
Correct.
Okay.
That's just
I know it's you, but I'm asking your opinion. So
yeah,
I'm not necessarily.
I'd be more interested. For me personally, I'd be more interested in Like Deion Lewis went right before him. I think that was a really nice pick. I like Deion Lewis.
I like getting those pass-catching running backs in the mid-rounds. That's really valuable.
Chris Thompson, I think I would look at. Gio Bernard, I would look at because, again, you're going to get some standalone action with a possibility of upside. So I think that those are the Kalen Balaj, I thought was a really nice pick, actually. So
in the 11th. Yeah, we'll get into that.
I'm sorry. I have to talk about players that didn't get
That's
picked.
fine. No, I think I just realized I'm like, oh, that's the player Dave was talking about.
Yeah,
we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
I can't believe. Anyway,
we'll get to it. I'm with you.
I'm getting a headache.
Mike Gesicki is the 1101 pick to kick things off.
I can't believe I found 12 people or whatever that didn't like this player or whatever. All in the same draft.
They may like him. They just maybe didn't like him as much. Carlos Hyde is the 1102 pick to Ramel tonight. Emerson Ramel taking Carlos Hyde as his 4 running back. Deshaun Jackson is the 4th receiver selected by Tony Pung, the field stretcher from Philly, goes to the drafter from Taiwan. Tony Pollard right after that to John Terry. Tony Pollard is the number 4 running back, and just as an ADP standpoint, with the news that we got on Ezekiel Elliott from Jerry Jones Day. Now I'm talking about FFPC best ball ADP, so it's a little bit different than Football Guys. But on average, he was going at the 1701 over the last 3 days. The highest he's gone was the 1403. Tonight he goes at the 1104 to John Terry. Could pay off big. Is it a $250,000 winner? I don't know. Dave,
Pollard.
Well, we'll see. He's a pass-catching running back, and if Ezekiel Elliott is held out,
he's not even guaranteed to be the number 2 right now.
I understand that, but it is an 11th round pick, and we'll see what happens.
But that's the earliest he's gone in best ball. You saying best ball or classic?
That was best ball. I don't have the classic ADP up. Would you like me to reference the classic ADP instead? I feel like there's a bigger sample size of best ball.
There is, but classic is better because because best ball, because of the quarterback runs, that all those running backs get pushed down significantly.
Okay.
So
I understand what you're saying, and I will tell you this right now, that over the last 5 days in FFPC Classics, the highest he's gone, Dave, the 1211. So he's actually gone higher in best balls. He's going on average at the 1509 in Classics.
What? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's well. And again,
crazy.
When did the Jerry Jones quote come out? Like today or late yesterday?
Yeah. What did it say again?
It said that the Elliott holdout could drag on months into the regular season.
Wow.
Months.
Wow.
With an S.
I heard you.
Kalen Balaj is the pick that Dave liked right after that to Joseph Paprzycki here at the 1105, followed by Chris Thompson from Florida State. To the career killers at the 1106, James Washington to Frank Imbornoni right after that as his number 4 receiver. So he gets that Steelers stack with Moncrief in the 8th, and then James Washington in the 11th. Dave, you're not as big of a fan of stacking wideouts from the same team for fantasy output in a 20-team classic draft as you would be in a best ball. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, that'd be correct. Although in this particular instance, I don't think Dilly did a bad job by taking Moncrief and Washington, although I wouldn't have taken Moncrief in the 8th, but whatever. What's done is done, right? Because they're fighting it out in camp. So you would hope that you'd get the number 2 receiver from that team, which usually is valuable.
Usually.
You got Juju and you have Vance McDonald, so hopefully either Moncrief or Washington, someone will command targets over McDonald, but you don't know 100% for sure. But I don't think that's a bad combo of selections. Again, what's Moncrief's ADP? Like, it's got to be like 10, 11.
I don't quite think it's that high. 1201. All
right, that's kind of
where he's going.
All right,
listening. Dante Moncrief is not listening. He's busy getting ready for training camp. Hey, the other thing I should mention, as long as we're talking about Steelers, did you see that? I can't remember where I saw it. Actually, quite frankly, it might have been on your Twitter feed. The picture of James Conner at the 2017 Combine, and then what he looks like now in his in training camp.
Oh my God, yes, night and day.
I mean, he looked like
he's stone cold ripped now.
He looked like it's like he went from Jussie Smollett to the Incredible Hulk. Like honest to God,
from Jussie Smollett to the guys that attacked him.
Well,
he paid to attack.
Listen, I'm not gonna get into that whole thing, but
that's not even political. I think that's a common.
Well, again, I'm still will stay out of that area. So right after James Washington, it's Kyle Rudolph as the 2nd tight end drafted by Vince Staffolino, followed by Mike Davis, the Chicago Bears running back, to Kern Reeve. Paris Campbell, hey, how did Kern Reeve miss out on that rookie? Paris Campbell goes to Bip Lab Mandel right after that. And Bip, on Kern, I'm not ripping on your draft. I'm just pointing out you drafted a lot of rookies. And spoiler alert, there's another one coming up in the 12th round. Paris Campbell to Bip Lab Mandel. Anthony Miller from the Bears to Kurt Kikas, followed by Adrian Peterson to end things here in the 11th round to Jimmy Wagner. How do you handicap the Bears pass catchers and, well, not even pass catchers, Bears skill positions? Do we want to play a quick Yaman or 9 with, well, no, I guess I want to play it with you, and we can't wheel the buttons over to that side of the studio. But I'm curious as to what Bears skill position players you're on this year between the running backs in Mike Davis, David Montgomery, and Tariq Cohen, and then the pass catchers in Robinson, Anthony Miller, Taylor Gabriel, and Trey Burton at tight end.
I don't really like Anthony Miller's skill set. I do like Allen Robinson. I think he's kind of primed for a comeback. He is. I think WR1 on his team, not overall. I don't mind. Trey Burton seems to kind of fall, and I've never been a huge Trey Burton fan. As I said, I thought he was overpaid for his contract as an unproven player.
Yep.
But if I'm kind of tight or short at tight end, I think I would look to Trey Burton because he's a little bit under the radar. Like, people don't really care about him. They're like, oh, Trey Burton, whatever. They'll go. Especially in a regular PPR, like a non-premium league. Trey Burton, I bet you, falls like crazy in those drafts.
Right.
David Montgomery and Tariq Cohen, I'd probably be more on board with Montgomery, and a little bit less so with Cohen, but I would only take either one of them if they were like values. I think below their ADP, like maybe 6 to 12 picks below. And then I would look at them.
Okay.
Like the 3rd, 4th round, no. 5th, 6th round, yeah, maybe. If I had a Kikas type team where I'd taken 3 or 4 straight receivers, and I'd look at maybe Montgomery or Cohen if I needed one.
I like that team name, a Kikas type team.
Well, I mean, tonight.
Well, no, that's yeah. So we just talked a bunch of Bears skill position players. Can I ask you a riddle?
And by the way, I don't mind Trubisky as a later quarterback because he runs the ball as well. Anyway,
yes, he does. A fantasy football riddle, Dave. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
What do Chicago Bears, besides being on the same team, Allen Robinson, Trey Burton, and Anthony Miller all have in common? Allen Robinson, Trey Burton, and Anthony Miller. What do they all have in common? I'm going to be buzzing you in about 5 seconds.
Nothing.
In tonight's draft, they were all selected by the defending champion, Kurt Kikas, as he gets Allen Robinson in the 6th, Trey Burton in the 9th, and then Anthony Miller here in the 11th. Now, what do you make of that? Loading up on those Bears pass catchers, and we'll see what he does here in the 13th for another Bear that's potentially out there. But what do you make about drafting all 3 of those players on the same team tonight?
I don't know. I think
there's some value in that?
It's kind of stupid.
Really?
I'm just kidding. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he did it on purpose, but he did the same thing with the Vikings. I don't know. What do you think the Packers?
Oh
defense?
My God! Look at the NFC North.
The Packers and the Lions defenses are so freaking terrible that he's drafting all Vikings and Bears. So
Dave, I didn't even realize that.
Well,
he's got 3 Bears
earlier in the show.
3 Bears, yeah.
Vikings, so.
3 Bears and 3 Vikings in 12 rounds. Yeah. I guess that's it for the NFC North.
It might just be random chance.
I think it is random chance.
But I mean, I guess with Anthony Miller, it's not a bad pick in the 11th, because that's kind of where he goes. And then if you have Allen Robinson, let's say Allen Robinson, twists his ankle. Well, now Anthony Miller is worth starting. So it's not a bad pick.
Do you want to pick up Allen Robinson in Dynasty at all?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll talk trade.
All right.
Carrington.
All right, let's keep moving on.
Yeah, people love hearing about the Blake Carrington dynasty.
I'm sure they do, yeah.
Yeah. Delaney Walker kicking things off here at the 12:01 for Jimmy Wagner as his starting tight end. So that's who he ended up with. We talked about how he had some work to do at tight end.
Not the worst.
Still
not bad.
He gets Delaney. Yeah, I agree. He gets Delaney Walker as a starter. We'll see who he peppers in there after that. There's still some other tight ends out there. We'll see what happens there. Cam Newton off the board to Kurt Kikas right after that, followed by Justin Jackson, the Chargers running back, to Bip Lab Mandel. And then 3 straight quarterbacks. We'll kick it off with the guy that you said could be a league winner. He falls all the way to the 12:04.
I didn't even say it. You knew it.
Yeah, as soon as I saw him. Yeah, 12:04 tonight to Kern Reeve.
I can't believe it.
Now for reference's sake, Dave.
For reference's sake, I would have taken Kyler Murray where Bip Lab took Jalen Samuels in the 9th round.
Right.
So he goes and Bip Lab passed him at the 12:03. What are you doing? I don't understand it.
All right. So in the drafters,
Why?
In the drafters' defense tonight, Dave.
No comprende.
In the drafters' defense, they drafted Kyler Murray as the QB9 tonight.
Yeah.
He's normally going in classic drafts, QB8.
7, 8,
Okay.
whatever.
But he is normally going at the 10:01 in drafts.
Yeah.
And tonight he falls to the 12:04. So that's like 2 full rounds of value here.
So crazy, and that, I don't understand. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's a ton of downside, whatever. But you can
To
grab,
Kyler Murray?
Yeah,
In
sure.
the 12th?
No, I'm just saying in general, you don't know how he's going to
Oh.
be. He's a rookie. He can suck, right? There's a chance. But he could be Cam Newton as a rookie. He could be QB2, QB3, QB4. Who knows?
Right.
And you're getting in the 12th round, and so the sacrifice is Justin Jackson or whatever. And I'm not just trying to pick on Biplab. I'm talking about other players too that didn't. I think Cam Newton's a fine selection for Keegan. That's totally cool if you want to go that direction. So I can't say anything there. But I mean, other teams like Team 7 and Team 8, instead of taking James Washington and Kyle Rudolph, you could have taken Kyler Murray in the 11th round. And now you have Goff and Breeze. And again, nothing wrong with those players.
Right.
But I just feel like there's just more. He's a more dynamic player that presents a lot more upside, and he really could be. He could pop off 35, 40-point weeks.
He could, absolutely. The player after him, as you just referenced, it is Jared Goff. He is the quarterback out of Cal, except for they called him Goff back then. Drew Brees right after that. Thank you very much.
As many Caddyshack references as
Drew
possible.
Brees. Were you at work the other day when we were watching Caddyshack?
Yeah, you must have done something before electricity.
Just over and over again. God, I watched that movie with my dad. I'd watched it.
Don't make a baboon. Things on his voice.
Yeah, that's one of his favorite lines. That one right there. I watched that movie with my dad after I had probably seen it 15, 20 times or something. And I don't know how my dad survives.
He had seen it before?
Oh, he's seen it a zillion times,
Yeah.
but watching it with him and hearing him laugh,
God,
I thought I had 911. I hit the 9 and the 1, Dave. I was ready to hit the 1 in case I needed to call somebody on speed dial for a heart attack or anything like that.
That was my movie when I was in high school. We'd first gotten, I'll date myself. We first had gotten a VCR. We got an RCA awesome VCR, right? So we had the videotape of Caddyshack. Caddyshack, Stripes, and Animal House are all on the
sure.
same thing. And it was great, so you could pause it, you could do slow motion, so Lacey Underall, the boobs would come out and you'd pause it because you're like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
But I mean, my friends and I must have seen that movie like 80 times or 70 times in high school. So I mean, there's so many times we've seen it.
Can I tell a quick Caddyshack story?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Animal House story. Now I do a local radio show. I'm not going to pimp it, but my co-host Leo Kuiper Jr. His first job as a 16-year-old kid was working at the Valley Fair Cinema. You remember where that used to be?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So he worked there, red tuxedo and everything. Well, they were showing Animal House one night, and a bunch of bikers showed up drunk. They were at a bar. A bunch of bikers showed up, just plowed. And his manager says, "Hey, you need to keep an eye on these guys tonight."
Wait, now how old is he?
Leo was 16 at the time. First job he ever
What's he gonna do here?
5'5", 110 pounds, So he's going up and down the aisle with his flashlight, and just making sure everything's okay. And every time he hears the White Claw sound, the ka-ch of a can opening, he's got to confiscate the beer from these bikers. Yeah,
dude, I'm not doing that.
the bikers gave it to him, and I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, it was like 5 or 6 of them. I'm like, oh, did you dump all? He's like, no, I brought him in the back and I pounded him.
Oh my goodness.
So he's drinking this beer or whatever. So then he's standing outside the theater of Animal House here. This biker stumbles out, clearly like almost blackout drunk, falling over. He's like, "Where's the bathroom?" And Leo says, "Oh, it's right over there, sir." And then he goes in the opposite direction. So then Leo goes to his manager, who's working the concession stand, and Leo says, "Hey, that guy just asked me where the bathroom was, and I told him where, and he went in the opposite direction." He's like, "Well, you gotta go find him. Figure this out." And so he's like, "Okay."
So he sounds like a typical retail manager.
Right, yeah. So then he's like, "But first you got to go upstairs and get me some popcorn." And now here's the thing: the way they did the concession stand back then, Dave, is they popped the popcorn in the projection room.
Really?
This was 40 years ago.
Sure, yeah, maybe.
They popped it up there. They had these big vats of kernels. And then you'd have to go up there, you put the popcorn in a bag, and you bring the bag downstairs.
They're probably paying like $2.50 an hour. They wanted to save money on the projectionist is also the popcorn maker.
Right. So Leo goes up there. Leo goes up there, and that biker is in the projection room peeing on the vat of the unpopped kernels of popcorn.
Oh, man.
And so then Leo races downstairs and says, "That guy's peeing on the popcorn." He's like, "We got to get him out of there." So there's 2 other high school guys. They were A-team. They're big, beefy linemen.
Sure.
So then they go up there, they grab the guy, and Leo's all ticked off at him. And
a beefy 18-year-old.
So then, well, I mean, they're like linemen. So they're, they're like 6'2", 230, 240, whatever.
Back then they weren't that big. That was an NFL lineman.
I'm lineman, 230 pounds.
NFL linemen back in the 60s were like 230.
This is more like
180.
This is like, okay. So anyway.
I was a lineman in high school. I weighed 206.
Okay, anyway. So they're holding this biker, and Leo's like, I never punched anybody before in my life. But they held him back, and I drilled him as hard as I could right to the gut. I'm like, are you serious? You didn't call the cops or anything? And no, he's like, after one punch, the guy's like, all right, I'll leave, no more.
It's like the backroom of a Vegas casino with a guard cover.
Right, exactly. So then,
I'll kick your ass.
So all the bikers leave. They leave beer behind, and then these guys are all drinking afterwards. I'm like, well, Leo, what happened to that big vat of unpopcorn kernels? You guys threw that out, right? He's like, man, I don't know.
The manager ate it.
Oh my God! I mean, like could have been just disgusting,
really
to have something like that.
That's a good story.
I'm telling you, every time I think I got this guy figured out, he tells me something, I'm just blown away.
I should hang out with Leo more. I've never.
He comes off as like a total, like, not like a nerd, but like this clean cut normal guy, and then he'll tell you a story about. Yeah. It's like highly illegal stuff that he's part, and it's no big deal to him.
Oh, it's great.
It's crazy. All right, moving on here. I'm sorry for that.
So anyway, Kyler Murray. That was everyone missed out.
Right. Yeah.
Way to screw it all up, everybody.
Drew Brees goes right after Jared Goff. John Brown, the Buffalo receiver, to the career killers after that. Trio running backs then. Kareem Hunt to Joseph Paprzycki. Chase Edmonds to John Terry, who, by the way, did get David Johnson at the 104. He gets Chase Edmonds tonight, the 1209.
Very nice.
Jarek McKinnon off the board to Tony Pung here at the 1210, followed by Golden Tate, and then Jimmy Graham. So Adam Krautwurst waits on tight end. Dave, how would you give him a grade, knowing that he did not take a tight end until round 11, and he ends up with Gesicki and Graham as his top two?
D.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, I mean, right now, I don't. First of all, Gesicki, given the news, I don't believe in Gesicki, and Jimmy Graham is kind of on his last legs.
All right.
I don't know what he's going to do.
Let's go rapid fire on this.
Just being honest.
You tell me over under, okay?
Sure.
Jimmy Graham, over under 55 catches this year.
I'm going to go under.
Okay. Jimmy Graham, over under 600.
Under.
Okay. Receiving yards.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Jimmy Graham, over under 5 touchdowns this year.
Push or over.
Oh, I guess I said it at the right spot.
Push or over. I'll say over, maybe 6 touchdowns.
Okay, but wouldn't you say, knowing that this is a tight end premium league, Dave? It is Dave, right?
Yeah, you don't have to call me David.
knowing that Jimmy Graham was like tight end 20 tonight. Yeah. Don't you think those are good numbers for the 20th tight end off the board?
Sure.
Yeah, you still give him a D though, because you didn't like how long he waited. That's why you gave him the D.
There you go.
All right.
That's what we're talking about.
I knew I was going to learn something tonight. It always seems to happen. It took us a while, but we made it happen tonight, and we learned.
He's deep at running back. Well, we'll talk about team construction.
We will, yeah. Coming up on that. All right, so left off with Jimmy Graham. Let's get in the 13th round here. Alfred Morris, the 1301. I'll tell you what. I don't know. I'm losing my hair. I'm getting more wrinkles, a little bit chunkier along the waistline. I'll tell you, I need to find out and go through Alfred Morris's internet browsing history and find out where he is getting the fountain of youth from.
No kidding.
Because this guy seems to never age and always seems to have a job. I remember back in the day in the Kentucky auction, we had drafted him late, and this is Kurt and I, Kurt Awe, and we ended up winning the auction. And I feel, Dave, like that was when I was like 20 years old. And I am a young 56 right now. And Alfred Morris is still bumming around the league. So kudos to him. He's still making it happen.
He and his agent. Good job.
Yeah, he and his agent. And to wit on this, look at the player drafted right after. A guy that Alfred Morris, I believe, is 42 years older, and that is Deontay Foreman at the 1302.
Oh,
insane. Speaking of insane, 1303, Tony Pung tonight gets a quote-unquote starting running back from Buffalo. I was talking about, I was on the Fantasy Alarm this past week with Howard Bender and Jim Bowden, Dave, and they asked me about LaShawn McCoy, and I'm like, I'm not the biggest fan of his in the world, but I'm still blown away that you can still get a starting running back in the 13th round.
Well, and Tony did draft Singletary, so Singletary with McCoy, there's some logic to that. I like that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. No question there. When you compare Singletary and McCoy, I like it quite a bit. Your boy Andy Isabella here at the 1304.
Which, by the way, he limped off practice yesterday.
Ooh, I did not know this.
He has a minor knee injury, and it's only going to keep him out a couple of days, but he could miss the first preseason game. That's the word on Isabella.
Speaking of first,
because obviously I check everything about Isabella every day.
Yeah.
Morning, afternoon.
I mean, at this point, I think you subscribe to some sort of service that supplies you with.
I call his dad. I'm like, hey, what's up, Mr. Isabella? How you doing?
Yeah. What's his dad's name?
Jim.
Jim Isabella?
I feel like you want to
that's going to come back on this show, no question. All right, so Andy Isabella goes off at the 13:04 tonight. Deshaun Hamilton right off the board after that to Joseph Paprzycki as his number 4 receiver. Yikes, we're going to talk about that. Emmanuel Sanders, Deshaun Hamilton's real-life teammate to the career killers. That is Tony Giustiniani and Donald Rich taking him there. Greg Olson, another timeless guy to Dilly Dilly. Giovanni Bernard to Vince Staffolino after that, followed by Noah Fant off the board to Kern Reeve. He had a nice little catch last night. Dave, did you watch any of that Hall of Fame game?
Nope, I was out at Mile.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
I think it was a fantastic time.
I talked.
Matt Bush.
Yeah, I know. He was there. You know what his nickname is on our show, on our local show? We call it, because we don't want to give away real names on the show.
Yeah.
He is Troublemaker El Grande.
Yeah, he is Troublemaker
And
El Grande.
and I heard about the pizza incident last night.
Yeah, he's such a dork.
Did you hear his side of the story of what happened?
I don't know. Yeah, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to bring you a pizza. It's like, we don't really want a pizza. And he's like,
oh, I didn't know you didn't want one.
No, never in the first place. And then he's like, oh, everybody ate it at the bar. I'm like, dude, we never even wanted the pizza. So he brings out another one like 20 minutes later.
Okay, so here's what happened with that. So he said he was going to get it, and actually Two-Packer texted me, and he says, yeah, your buddy just went to go get pizza for everybody. So
everybody meaning Meyer and myself.
The table that you guys are saying. So Troublemaker Butch goes up to get a pizza, and he runs into 2 people he knows at the bar, and then he starts drinking with them, and then the pizza comes out, and then they ate the first pizza. Okay, the whole thing.
Right,
and then he's like, oh, man, I forgot, I got to get these guys a pizza. So he orders another one, and then the bartender and him start talking, and then the bartender and him start eating the second pizza.
I didn't know there was 3.
No, there's a second pizza. And so, but they didn't eat the whole thing. And then Matt's like, oh, my God, I got to get back to the table. So he told me he brought back like 65 to 70% of a pizza.
He brought back a whole pizza.
Oh, he did. Okay.
He was probably 2, whatever.
Well, whatever. So that's what happened with your pizza last night.
Again, it was. We don't care. We never wanted a pizza.
I ran into so many people. Well, I didn't run into them, but I was talking to so many people today who were at the bar you were at last time. Like, man, I should have gone out there.
Nick Vanderfield.
Oh, Nick was there?
No, Nick Vanderfield's parents were there. Both.
Oh, yeah.
And I talked to them.
Yeah, Paul and
anyway,
Lori.
This is not part of the show.
Right, I'm sorry. All right, so moving on.
Too much digression.
Listen, we've done 7 of these over the last 2 weeks. We need to break it up somehow. All right, moving on here. We ended up with Duke Johnson here at the 13-10 to Biplab Mandel. Ito Smith to Kurt Kikas right after that. And then your Josh Oliver going as the final pick of the 13th round to Jimmy Wagner. How many shares of Josh Oliver do you own in Dynasty this year?
Not as many as you would think. Only like, I have 8 Dynasty teams, maybe 3.
Oh, okay.
I would have tried to
You do talk about him quite a bit.
Yeah, I would have gotten on more, but he got scooped. I like the Ito Smith pick by Kikas.
Here's the thing. He didn't look all that great last night.
13-11. Yeah, really?
He did not. In fact, I think he was less than 2 yards a carry. You know who looked really good in the Falcons' backfield?
No.
Brian Hill. Caught some passes. This is a guy that you thought might make the team as the third running back. He might be the backup now.
There you go, maybe.
We'll see what happens. The Falcons have 4 more preseason games. We'll be paying attention to that battle, especially
They're doing 5?
Devontae Freeman owners. The Hall of Fame participants always play 5, and they're the Hall of Fame game this year. All right, moving on.
Thank you.
Let's go through one more round here, and we'll get into team construction. This is the quarterback round here in the 14th. It is Josh Allen backing up Aaron Rodgers for Jimmy Wagner. Jameis Winston backing up Cam Newton to Kurt Kikas. Russell Wilson, the starting quarterback for Biplab Mandel, Dave, takes him in the 14th round.
That's so sick, isn't it?
Bravo, my friend.
Unbelievable.
Bravo. Kern Reeve gets the Bears defense 1 pick later. He already had 2 quarterbacks on his team, including league winner Kyler Murray. Ben Roethlisberger backing up Jared Goff to Vince Staffolino here, and then Kirk Cousins backing up Drew Brees for Frank Imbornoni. Second defense off the board to the career killers Giustiniani and Rich. That is the Jacksonville Jaguars, followed by Kenny Stills to Joseph Paprzycki. Then you have Lamar Jackson starting at quarterback for John Terry. I like that pick. Matt Breida right after that. So you get the McKinnon-Breida tandem for Tony Pung here in the 14th. Cameron Brate backing up P.J. Hawkinson, and then Jimmy Garoppolo backing up Matt Ryan for Adam Krautwurst. That is your first 14 rounds of action tonight. We have a little bit less than 1/2 hour here in the broadcast tonight. Do you want to get into a little team construction, beginning with RFFL? That's Adam Krautwurst, former guest of the show.
I can't wait.
if you can't wait, let's get right to it. The running backs are Saquon Barkley, Kerryon Johnson, Devontae Freeman, Miles Sanders, Alfred Morris, and Brian Hill, who I just brought up. And then Chris Godwin, Tyler Lockett, Will Fuller, Curtis Samuel, Kiki Cutie at receiver. Tight ends are Mike Gesicki, and Jimmy Graham, Matt Ryan, and Jimmy Garoppolo. Running backs are strong to quite strong. And then you have the receivers, not my favorite receivers in the world, but you have 5 by the end of the ninth. Weakness on this team is tight ends, and the fact that he waited until round 11. Dave Gerzak gave him a D for the tight ends. What are you giving him for the full team?
I mean, the overall team is pretty good, really. I mean, running backs are great. I like them. Actually, I'm coming around to Miles Sanders. I've been talking about that a little bit. I feel, the player profile is kind of, his argument wasn't bad, and he's looking good in camp, so I think Sanders might not be a bad value. He's been moving up, I think, a little bit lately.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish up.
I was just back to receivers. I don't like Will Fuller all that much, but I think the Samuel and QT picks were solid. Matt Ryan, Garoppolo are great. If he can get the tight ends working, he's in really good shape.
Let's go back and to the phone lines here at the 612. You're on the air with Dave and Balky here on the live on HSFFO Football Guys Draft.
Hey guys, Biplab back again.
Back for more is Biplab Mandel. Okay, so let's talk about this here, Bip. What's the reason for the callback?
Well, you guys just contradicted yourself. Dave was so upset about quarterback, and then he starts jumping when I take Russell Wilson. Not fair.
Okay.
The way I look at it is like
both things are possible. The Russell Wilson pick could be good, but not taking Murray could still be bad. No, you know what? It worked out really well for you.
Murray has a week 12 bye, and Murray has a week 12 bye, and these leagues you can change the starting quarterback every week. I don't think they matter right now. Yes, they may matter in the championship week, but yeah. So I got upset. That's why I called.
No, I get it.
Just take it easy, buddy.
Hey, no, Bip. Before you go,
I'm joking,
so
by the way. I'm not upset. Yeah.
No, we got that. Yes, we got that. Yes. Bip, Russell Wilson in the 14th. Obviously, we love that pick.
That's ridiculous.
Have you been finding yourself drafting when you do these drafts? Have you been finding yourself drafting quarterbacks that late and getting this kind of value, or is this like the first time you've seen? Like, is this your best quarterback value of the drafting season for you?
Yeah, this might be the best, but I've been waiting till 18th, 19th round and taking Philip Rivers. I mean, look at that offense. I think he's serviceable also, right? So this year, I do feel waiting on quarterbacks is good. I don't deny the value of Kyler Murray, but still, I believe in building my depth. Like Justin Jackson, I liked what I saw last year, and if Melvin Gordon doesn't play, I do feel he'll have a bigger role than Austin Eckler. Long term.
Yeah, I really didn't mind the Justin Jackson pick in and of itself. If Murray had been gone, and so it's all good, man. I just first of all, I
I'm on the
give you a little
clock.
crap. I thought the Russell Wilson pick was good.
Yeah, no, Biff, you are on the clock right now. Who's the pick going to be here? We're at the 1603. You just Malcolm Brown in the 15th. Who's the pick going to be here? Oh, it's in Dallas Cowboys for Michael Gallup.
Yep.
Yeah, and Gallup here as the number 2, the second banana in the Cowboys passing game to Amari Cooper. You projecting a breakout here, or do you think he's just going to give you a few bye-week fill-ins?
No, bye-week fill-ins. It's all about depth and who's remaining. I needed another receiver here, so I went with him. I thought that's value.
Well, Bip, listen, I will always go with you for my fantasy analysis, even though Dave apparently has this huge issue with. No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't. It's all in good fun. I'm glad you ended up with Russell Wilson in the 14th, and you can anybody who gives you any kind of garbage about that going forward, you could say, why am I going to take league winner Kyler Murray in the 12th when I can get league winner Russell Wilson in the 14th? Kudos to you, my friend. A job well done.
Sure. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
All right, Biplab Mandel. So good stuff. I love that when we get that so often on my local show where somebody, they call in to say something and then I say something and then they call back. It's like, well, listen, Balky. By the way, the ratings came in today. How was it? Well, here's the thing. There is some sort of issue with it. Like,
what does that mean?
It means there is some error or whatever on their end, and so the ratings that we got are not great, but there is talk at the station. Well, I shouldn't say they're not great. They're not accurate. There's talk at the station of being even higher than we were last 6 months ago, which is insane. I don't think we're going to be higher. We'll see what happens.
You've got much bad radio, and you're still higher. That's good.
But if put it this way, if we're
Leo must be really good.
Well, he was on the golf course all day.
Leo must be such a great host.
He's great. But if we're any higher at this point, we would be the #1 rated show in the Fox Valley.
That's hilarious.
If we're any higher than we were last time.
I gotta meet this guy. I gotta get some tips.
Yeah, you'd like him. You guys would get along.
I like people.
He's great. He's a great guy. All right.
And I'm not. So it's like a.
No, you guys are both great. Emerson Rammel picking at the second spot tonight. Christian McCaffrey, Damian Williams, Chris Carson, Carlos Hyde, Deontay Foreman at running back. Antonio Brown, DJ Moore, Dante Pettis, Robbie Anderson, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Golden Tate, N'Keal Harry at at receiver. Tight ends are TJ Hawkinson and Cameron Brate. Quarterbacks are Baker Mayfield and Dak Prescott. Dave, this is a balanced team. I guess I worry a little bit about the tight end, but
a lot.
You worry a lot about the tight end.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought you liked Hawkinson even as a rookie.
I do.
Just not as a starter.
Yeah, you can't rely on a rookie tight end as your main guy, and then Cameron Brate to back up to a player who's being drafted in the 4th round. I mean, that's problematic.
On an offense where they don't throw to the tight end.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, come on.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's a problem.
I get it.
If you wait till round 10 and 14 in a tight end premium format, you're not going to get a compliment from me. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. I do like the backs. I do like the receivers, and maybe a little bit of work to do for Rammel on the waiver wire for tight end. But other than that, a solid team. Moving on to Tony Pung here. Alvin Kamara, Darius Geis, Justice Hill, Devin Singletary, Jerick McKinnon, LaShawn McCoy, Matt Breida at running back, Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, Sterling Shepard, Deshaun Jackson at receiver, Hunter Henry, Eric Ebron at tight end, and then Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback. Dave, on this squad, I don't question the tight ends. I think they're fine. First team, we haven't really questioned them. I think you did a really good job at building depth at running back. Outside of Kamara, you can't really count on anybody. But there are people that 1 or 2 guys should emerge here. I think the issue I have is the receiver depth. I mean, Evans and Cooper should be great, but Sterling Shepard is your 3, Djax is your 4, and then still nobody else in round 17 here. I think that could be the issue.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you start with Kamara and then you have Geis, and then all the kind of like whatever running backs, but then you're still counting on them in your flex. My concern is his flex position. It's going to be problematic a little bit. And that's a product of going with Henry, Mahomes, and Ebron in very important rounds, 4, 5, and 6. Even though Ebron was a value, I probably would have had to have passed on there, even though I thought it would have been nice. But grabbing Robbie Anderson is probably what I would have taken there, and that would have made his receivers look a lot better.
Tom Brady, he also adds here in the 17th. What do you make of Justice Hill, his 9th-round pick? How do you view him for the Ravens this year? I mean, I know you and I both like Mark Ingram, but what about the rookie Justice Hill?
He's a speed back, but he was not a pass catcher, so...
Which is weird.
It is kind of weird, and so if Ingram busts, Hill could be the guy. But I feel like in the 9th round, there's other players you could take that would really help your team more so than he would.
Moving on to Aunt Jemima 16, that's John Terry's squad here at the 4 spot. David Johnson, Lamar Miller, Dion Lewis, Tony Pollard, Chase Edmonds, Darwin Thompson at running back, T.Y. Hilton, Brandon Cook, Sammy Watkins, Marvin Jones, Andy Isabella, and Trey Quinn at receiver. This is the tight end team. Zach Ertz, O.J. Howard, Jared Cook, and then Lamar Jackson and Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback. Now, I will say this, Dave. It's not like the running backs are electric at all. It's not like the receivers are insanely awesome. But I would say he did a really good job at both of those positions, considering he already had 3 tight ends on his roster in the first 7 rounds.
Well, he took all those tight ends, and then he at least wisely punted quarterback almost completely, but still got Lamar Jackson and Trubisky, so that was good.
2 guys with legs.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, they all have legs, but they use theirs.
They run. His receivers turned out really, I think, pretty solid. Hilton Cook is good. Watkins, Jones, Isabella, Quinn. Those are Isabella and Quinn are kind of hype guys.
Yeah.
And he's got the hype running backs too, like Dion Lewis, Tony Pollard, Chase Edmonds to back up David Johnson and Darwin Thompson. I kind of like his running backs too. I think this team is overall pretty solid.
Yeah, I do too. I like this squad, and we didn't even talk about Ertz, Howard, and Cook at tight end.
You don't need to. It's a ridiculously great combo.
Best tight ends in the league. No.
I mean, effectively, your flex is covered already with Howard and Cook.
Yeah, and you only need to worry about getting 2 healthy running backs, and you have Hilton and Cooks there at receiver every single week.
Yep.
So there's some depth there. Yeah, I like John Terry's squad. All right, Lucky Horseshoe. That is team number 5 tonight. That is Joseph Paprzycki. He went with Ezekiel Elliott, Aaron Jones, Royce Freeman, Peyton Barber, Kalen Ballage, Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Deshaun Hamilton, Kenny Stills, and Zay Jones at receiver. Tight ends are David Njoku and Dallas Goedert. And then you have Carson Wentz and Phillip Rivers at quarterback. So this squad, Dave, is fairly deep at running back. We'll see what happens with Elliott. I think that his potential holdout is that's going to be what sort of decides this team as how good it can be. I'm a little concerned that you get Hill and Woods as your top two, but then you have Kupp in the fifth coming off that ACL, and then you don't take another receiver until round 13. I mean that sort of sets off a little bit of an alarm for me. I like Kenny Stills in the 14th. Zay Jones could be the number one receiver for Buffalo in the 16th. That could pay off. And I know he went with two tight ends in the first 9 rounds. I'm souring a little bit on Njoku, and I'm not sure what the ceiling is for Goddard in that Eagles offense.
That's actually a pretty good analysis. Overall, I mean, there's a lot of things I like about his team. I like his running backs overall. His receivers are pretty solid through 3, but after that, he waited so long because he kept on taking running backs. I felt like I wish he would have taken someone else, maybe instead of Peyton Barber or Hunt. I thought the Velasquez was good, but it's a solid team overall. I guess, like you said about tight end, it's good, but it's not great.
Right.
And Elliott is really going to be the thing. I mean, if Elliott comes back, then he's got a pretty good shot. But if he doesn't, he's
Elliott and Hill.
Hill's back. But I mean, if Elliott.
No, but I'm saying as your top 2 picks. I mean, that's really, really good if Elliott's back.
Right. Yeah, he's going to be screwed though. If Elliott's not back by week 4, he's done.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, no question. Royce Freeman on the 7th. You like that value when you think about Phillip Lindsay going also in the 6th round?
I don't think Freeman would have been there in the 8th, but I don't really think that Royce Freeman was a streaming value in the 7th.
Okay.
I guess I probably would have, truthful, I would have taken Rashad Penny or Latavius Murray, who both went directly after that. I would have taken either one of those.
Okay.
And even Eckler is an interesting pick, too.
Yeah.
More of a dynamic, either it's going to be a bust. But he has standalone value in and of himself.
He does, yeah.
It's kind of like he's like a guy who's got some value with bonus potential.
You're going to have to take Eckler pretty high this year for him to bust. You know what I mean? Because in the 7th round, with his pass-catching chops, I mean, he still should return some really good value.
So I should just say this. Sigmund Bloom took Eckler probably in a fairly similar spot in pros versus Joe not that long ago, and I ripped on him about it. So either I should apologize, whatever. No, he doesn't listen. Who cares?
Didn't David Dodds also take him, but he got him 2 rounds later?
I forgot if Dodds did take him. Good job. So maybe they were so far ahead of the curve that, whatever. Good job taking him. Maybe. Maybe not.
Yeah, we won't know on that one. We'll be able to make a call on that once these guys start reporting and then these holdouts. All right, this is Team 6 that we're going to look at right now. The career killers, Tony Justiniani and Donald Rich. Their running backs are Leonard Fournette, Kenyon Drake, Tevin Coleman, Rashad Penny, Chris Thompson, Jalen Richard. Their receivers are DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams, Devin Funchess, John Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, John Ross, and Mohamed Sanu. Tight ends are George Kittle and Jordan Reed. Quarterback so far is just Captain Andrew Luck. Dave, I'm not a fan of these. I mean, I know he took a bunch of them, or these guys took a bunch of them from 10 on, but I'm not really a fan of many of these receivers here. In fact, the only receiver I really like on this team is Hopkins. After that, there's not one guy I was like, oh, yeah, that was a good pick there.
I didn't mind Emmanuel Sanders picking the 13.
I know he's looking good, but, man, still coming off that Achilles, I just question.
It is a 13.
Yeah, but I guess my whole thing is I think Emmanuel Sanders looks great now. He didn't play last night in the Hall of Fame game. I just question whether he can put together a season here and 31 years old or whatever he is coming off that Achilles. You're right, 13th round. I mean, there's value there. So I guess maybe if there was one I did like, it's probably that one there. Tight ends for Kittle and Reed, I think that's fine. In the 2nd and 9th, and obviously I like Luck in the 8th, but he's got to start practicing soon. And then I look at the running backs. And there's the fact that he has 4 in the first 7, that's good. I mean, Coleman, Penny in the 6th, 7th, that's good. I don't know if I like the Drake pick in the 4th. I guess Fournette's all right in the 3rd. I don't know. I mean, you can make a case that this is a balanced team. I guess there's just too many players on this squad that I wouldn't have drafted for me to say, oh, I like this team, but it could work out.
Yeah, I mean, in the 3rd and 4th, I would not have taken Fournette and Drake. I would have taken receivers. And then at that point, I would have felt pretty awesome, right? Because it's like, okay, the 3rd round, let's say I take Keenan Allen, right? And then the 4th round, I take Brandon Cooks. So now my team is Hopkins, Keenan Allen, Cooks, and let's say I like Mike Williams, which I don't, but I would take Tyler Boyd. And then you have Tevin Coleman and Penny, and you have a true zero RB team.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I would like that a little bit more myself. I mean, and then you have Chris Thompson and Jalen Richard. So even if you're 4 running backs right now, were Coleman, Penny, Thompson, Richard, and then he's going to grab some more running backs instead of like Funches, Brown,
John Brown, yeah.
Yeah, I would have preferred it to go that direction, but again, that's kind of my style. So.
No, and I'm liking I think that was the approach that what you just said. I think that's the approach I would have taken. But that's not to say that this is a wrong way to do it. We'll see how this team turns out for the Career Killers. Maybe this Career Killers team will kill our career as podcast.
Can't get much worse than where we're at.
Exactly. Moving on.
Even Verizon's not sponsoring us.
No, we lost the Verizon sponsorship. That's one of those
things. We should look to T-Mobile.
Did they got bought out by somebody, I thought.
Whoever.
I thought, I think it was T-Mobile and Sprint merged.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
There you go. Let's get in there.
T-Sprint. We'll get Tyreek Hill as our spokesperson. That's perfect.
Well, here's the deal.
T-Sprint.
We'll talk to T-Mobile's marketing department, and if they're a bunch of dicks, we'll talk to Sprint's marketing department before they all get fired.
Yeah, cornering the marketing angle. Dave Gerzak.
Yeah. All right, right on.
Patron saint of negotiation. The Art of the Deal, Part 2, written by Dave Gerzak. Vince Staffolino. No, it's Frank Imbornoni we're looking at. Frank Imbornoni's team at the 7th spot tonight. Le'Veon Bell, Melvin Gordon, James White, Tariq Cohen, Latavius Murray at running back. Receivers are Odell Beckham, Julian Edelman, Dante Moncrief, James Washington, Devontae Parker, Jameson Crowder, Marquise Lee at receiver. Tight ends are Chris Herndon, Jack Doyle, and Greg Olson. Quarterbacks are Drew Brees and Kirk Cousins. Now, Dave, there are some players on this team I don't know if I would have drafted, but I actually like the balance on this team. You know, he gets 5 running backs in the first 7 rounds, so he ignores the position after that. Okay, I can totally get on board with that. The Steelers stack with Moncrief and Washington. He knows he needs to address the receiver position. He hits it late. Devontae Parker, Jameson Crowder, Marquise Lee. There's a certain amount of upside with all 3 of those players. And then to wait on tight end until the 9th round, you get Chris Herndon, who'll be back in week 3. Jack Doyle, who's coming off the hip injury. And then Greg Olson is your number 3. I mean, I think you could have done a lot worse. You can tell Frank Imbornoni's done this league many a time, and I think he showed that tonight. I think this is a strongly competitive team.
I agree with you, actually. By taking the 3 tight ends where he did, it went from tight ends are crap to tight ends are like reasonably good, right? Herndon's out 4 games, but that's fine. You got Doyle and Olson.
That Melvin Gordon pick at 307, that could be huge.
It could be huge either direction, but the nice thing, normally I wouldn't have said, he was kind of getting value with James White in the 5th, Cohen in the 6th, and Murray in the 7th. It seems to me like all 3 of those running backs were value.
Yeah.
And it kind of worked out for his team because he's risking his future on Gordon. So he's actually probably in pretty good shape, even with Gordon partnering around for like 10 games or 6 games. So I think he's going to be pretty competitive, actually. So I think his flex position is covered, too.
To your point, James White, he gets tonight here at the 507. He normally goes at the 412. The pick after that, he gets Tariq Cohen in the 5th round. Tariq Cohen normally going at the 511, so about a half round of value there. And then Latavius Murray, he gets at the 707 tonight. Latavius Murray over the last 5 days in FFPC Classic Leagues, normally going at the 709. So a little bit of a value there. So good points for you there to point out Imbornoni's running back value. Vince Staffolino is picking 8th tonight. Here's how his team looks through 18 rounds. It is Marlon Mack, Mark Ingram, Darrell Henderson, Alexander Madison, Giovanni Bernard, and C.J. Anderson at running back. Devontae Adams, Juju Smith-Schuster, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, D.D. Westbrook, Jaquan Smith, and A.J. Brown at receiver. Austin Hooper, Kyle Rudolph at tight end, Jared Goff, and Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback. This is another really balanced team, and I like the fact that he gets Mack and Ingram as the starting 2 running backs in rounds 3 and 4. The upside with Darrell Henderson in the 5th. You get Alexander Madison in the 10th. Now, you don't have Dalvin Cook, but if he was to go down, I think Madison's going to get a good share of the touches there. We talked about how we like Bernard as a backup in the 13th. We'll see what happens with C.J. Anderson if Kerryon Johnson somehow falters. And then the receiver depth. Adams, Smith-Schuster, Ridley, Kirk, D.D. Westbrook. You get those as your top 5 guys. I think there's a lot to like there. You didn't take a tight end until round 8, but you get 70-catch Austin Hooper, and then Kyle Rudolph is coming off a career year in the 11th round, too. Dave, I like this team as a very competitive team, and maybe a team that could win it all. Not win the 250, well, maybe it could win the 250, but a team that could win this 12-team league as well.
Yeah, the receivers are fantastic. He did a really nice job there. Mack and Ingram specifically, neither one is a pass catcher, so that's a little bit concerning. But you know, whatever. He's kind of picking at nits a little bit. You got Gio Bernard, that's a solid pick. I thought the Hooper pick with Rudolph, that's a really nice combination, and Goff and Roethlisberger, it's a really solid team overall. He's going to compete.
Kern Reeve had the 8th spot tonight. Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery, Phillip Lindsay, Damian Harris, Mike Davis, and Bruce Anderson at running back. Julio Jones, Kenny Galladay, Larry Fitzgerald, DK Metcalf, Marquise Brown, and Hunter Renfrow. My God, the rookies. Tight ends, Travis Kelce, Noah Fant, Darren Waller, and then Deshaun Watson and Kyler Murray. Now, for my own benefit, I'm just going to count up the rookies on Kern Reeves' squad here real quick. This is a Lance Turbis team with all these rookies. He's got one, as far as I can count to, Dave, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rookies on the, 9 rookies through 19 rounds. That's half his team is rookies this season for this league.
Yeah, that's a team that could be problematic, but generally it would be.
Or is there upside in trying to win $250,000 if you're taking all these unknowns?
We've got the top 2 rookie running backs, right? He's got Jacobs and Montgomery. I thought the Lindsay pick was actually a pretty solid value in the 6th round.
Very shrewd in the 6th.
Yeah, he's been falling. It's like they signed what's his name and stock.
Theo Riddick.
Yeah, and Lindsay's not a big pass catcher anyway, so I mean maybe he has some downside there. I think overall he did a pretty nice job for himself. With Fitz.
He also has Julio Jones and Larry Fitzgerald on the opposite end of the age spectrum here.
Yeah, right. So he's like old, young and old. Metcalf, though, as your number 4, is a little bit of a problem. I actually like the Hunter Renfrow pick. I think.
Yeah. Well, and Marquise Brown in 17th, who just got cleared to practice.
Yeah, they keep talking up Renfrow and Marquise Brown. Why not? But his receiver depth's a little bit on the weak side. But I mean, getting Kyler Murray as your quarterback too. That's a little bit like a punishment pick. It's like, hey, you should have taken it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe it will be a league winner. The notorious BIP, Biplab Mandel, Joe Mixon, Todd Gurley, Jordan Howard, Jalen Samuels, Justin Jackson, Duke Johnson, Malcolm Brown at running back, Keenan Allen, Tyler Boyd, Jarvis Landry, Alshon Jeffrey, Paris Campbell, Michael Gallup, Maurice Harris, Josh Gordon at receiver. Tight ends are Evan Engram, Mark Andrews, and the quarterback is Russell Wilson. I am not saying this because he
called in twice.
This might be my favorite team so far. As we look at this, especially if Gurley is even 70% of what he was last year. Probably my favorite team.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually not bad to say that. Allen, Boyd, Landry, Jeffrey gets hurt a lot, but whatever.
As your number 4, though.
Yeah, I know. And but I mean, Paris Campbell's been looking great in camp, and I think some of the other picks like Gallup with Gordon and Maurice Harris, those are fine. Russell Wilson was like a super valuable 14, which so I would give Biplab credit. He kind of proved me wrong. I would have taken Murray in the 9th round and screwed up his team. So hey, good job, Biplab. I think that Jordan Howard's fine. Jalen Samuels is fine. Justin Jackson. There's a lot of good upside running back picks. So I think really nice job overall.
Defending champ of this league, it is Kurt Kikas, the Altadena assassin from the 11th spot. Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler, Ronald Jones, Naheem Hines, Ito Smith, Raekwon Armstead, Dexter Williams at running back. Receivers are Michael Thomas, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller, and Miles Boykin. Tight ends Vance McDonald and Trey Burton, and Ian Thomas, actually. Quarterbacks Cam Newton and Jameis Winston. I like the tight ends, Dave. He needs to hit on one of these running backs that he took from the 7th round on. Maybe he doesn't if Eckler comes through. And then receiver, too. I love the top 4. There's not a whole lot after that. So as long as those top 4 are performing and he gets one of these running backs to come through, I think Kurt Kikas has a really good shot at defending his title.
Yeah, I would say I'm not sure if I would have taken Vance McDonald, but that's fine. I mean,
I like that pick.
Not that I don't like it. I'm just saying it's a 5'11", whatever. There's a little bit of a slight reach, I guess. What's his ADP?
His ADP is normally the 609, so a little bit of a reach, yes.
Not a reach, but he had to take me either there or at the 602 if you wanted, and that's fine. I like his team construction though through 8 rounds, like running back, 4 receivers, and the tight end slipped in there with a couple more running backs. I think that works out well. The problem that kind of happens is that your second running back, you really kind of need somebody to work out. But if Eckler, Rojo, who sucks but could be good but could suck, so who knows?
Right. Well, you said you liked the Ito Smith pick earlier too.
I do. I like Ito Smith. I like Naheem Hines. Those are pass catchers, right? So you have Hines, Ito Smith, Eckler. They're all pass catchers. So I think and Dalvin Cook's a pass catcher. So I think this works out well for a high 6 veteran.
For what it's
Cam and Winston are nice.
For what it's worth, at running back, Dexter Williams running with the ones in Packers camp right now with Jones and Jamal Williams both missing practice.
There you go. So, that matters.
Yeah, it does matter. Final team we're going to look at tonight is Jimmy Wagner's Wild Coyotes from the 12th spot. Nick Chubb, James Conner, Sony Michel, Derrick Henry, Adrian Peterson at running back. Receivers are A.J. Green, Corey Davis, Cortland Sutton, Geronimo Allison, Tyrell Williams, Debo Samuel, and Quincy Enunwa. Tight ends are Delaney Walker, Josh Oliver, Tyler Eifert, and Will Dissly. Quarterbacks are Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen. Now, he waited on tight end. Did he get enough with the 4 selections that he made post round 11 in Walker, Oliver, Eifert, and Dissly to compete? That remains to be seen. He went a running back heavy draft, and when Derrick Henry's your 4, you're obviously going to be at the upper echelon and maybe having the best running backs in the league there. I worry a little bit about Sony Michel. Dave, I know you said you're not the biggest James Conner guy in the world, but I like the Adrian Peterson value in round 11. And then he got good depth at receiver, too. You know, he gets 5 receivers off the board by round 10, and he still adds Debo Samuel. And Quincy Enunwa is a nice little value in round 17 as well.
I agree with you about Enunwa, actually. I think he's, no one's considering him. He's the number 1 receiver for the Jets. And Darnold is like 21, and he's got a rocket arm.
Yes, he does.
If Enunwa stays healthy, he could be really good. The thing about his running backs are none of them, except with the sole exception of Conner, are pass catchers. Chubb, Michel, Henry, Peterson, none of them.
That's a good point.
So, I mean, I have a problem with that because then you take all those early running backs, but none of them are PPR backs. The receivers turned out pretty good, actually. I like how the receivers worked out for them. But if those guys can learn to catch, it's all more power to them.
Mr. Irrelevant tonight is Rex Burkhead, as the entire draft is now done. Congratulations.
White running back, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Congratulations to all the drafters tonight. An excellent job getting done here in 2 hours. I want to thank our guest tonight, Kurt Tikas, Biplab Mandel. Also want to thank Dave Gerzak, the FFPC, producer, mutual friend, Rob, audio engineer, and best friend, Bryce. Most of all of you listeners, putting up with us for 2 hours tonight. Check out the main event. Register for all those drafts at myffpc.com. FF Mastermind Michael Nazarick joins us next week at 10/9 Central and gets the draft spots in.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com. That was broadcast live and heard around the world. Eric and Dave will be back next week with more analysis, interviews, and advice from a guest much smarter than they are. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk with you again next week.
We're on the scene floor, even more so if we on tour. Me and E explore the country, wondering about the evening before. Trying to explain where the time went, while other rappers find a studio to grind in. Kinda like
Dave, this is a big night tonight, as this is the last live draft that you and I will cover until the Genesis, Revelation, and Apocalypse drafts come next May.
All right. What about Kentucky? We're just going to talk.
We don't cover any live drafts there. Yeah.
We just talk.
We talk, and we'll announce the Ascendant coming up there, which is exciting because we're only, roughly 3 weeks away from that, which means we're like, 4.5 weeks, 5 weeks away from real football, too. It's sneaking up on us. And
we need to fill that main event.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, if you're looking for some ROI, it is the FFPC main event this year. Remember, if you're already signed up, $1,500 for each additional team. It's a great value. It's going to be a great event, and we hope to see you when you draft that winning team out in Las Vegas. A housekeeping note, the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown returns next week with Ryan Poole, FFPC Pros vs. Joe's drafter, Football Guys Players Championship and main event league champion. He will join us on the Lowdown next week. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon, and fill that midnight draft tonight for Football Guys. Peace out.